it blowing up over there? Are you okay?
All right.
I'm freezing.
Workshop. Yeah.
Spreadsheet? I did, and I did my own research, so I brought a solution.
On TikTok?
No,
AI.
Yeah.
no,
No, I'm just joking.
none of the above.
Okay.
What is
Alright,
that?
so let's, so one of them, okay, so is the,
You don't have to be on there.
Huh?
I'm just telling her she doesn't have to join that way,
yeah, you don't need to be if you don't want to.
because we're already there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna share what I have on the screen at some point, but.
Okay.
Alright, so, God, I'm getting old.
Okay.
So the first thing would be the, I guess it was the, we're not gonna have to put stuff in for the rail bridge yet, because even, we did the bond, we approved the ability to bond, but the payments even on the ban wouldn't happen until 27.
So what
that
one
a
is
number?
that?
So we're not gonna need to even put it in here.
So
But where's-
it was, actually, it's on, if you go up to the end of the budget, it would have been on page 9.
Okay, so
You'll-
it's not.
So there's budgeted 200,000 because it was thought that that was gonna go to construction this year.
Oh, yeah.
But it didn't, because of lots of reasons. And so the question is since because the cost of that has gone up so greatly, the board approved a bond resolution to fund the remaining small portion if we don't have any other grant funds that cover it. So the point is we don't need to budget for that line, because if we do a ban, there will be no payment in the first year.
Perfect.
So it's already not there, but we don't have to add it now, because
And then as far as fund, Amanda told me that for fund balance use for this, we can rely on DADB for a huge chunk of that, because they have large fund balances, and so for the costs out of those funds, we can cover with what I'm doing.
so basically right now, if we have no change in the tax rate, so we don't change the tax rate at all, leave it the same, and we make any changes, we're about $1 million short. That's not uncommon from prior years. And if you are able to get my tax rate worksheet I sent you a couple weeks ago now, I have estimated fund balances there.
I have, I can put it up there.
You can put it up there, okay, cause yeah, the one I sent had the 2025, what we estimate the fund balance will be.
You mean you're talking about,
Tax
why
rate?
it takes so long. Yeah, so if we don't
That one,
change, if we
yes.
put 0 in the blue.
So you have the old one with 2025 estimated fund balances, but that's,
I think you didn't change them.
I didn't, this original copy I didn't, but I sent a new copy
Oh.
back in early in the month.
Hopefully they'll let me in my email.
Yeah, and if anybody else, it was an email I sent back, it had been early October. Jason, I can send it to you now if you can't find it, if you can.
Well, I have to
The
get.
tax rate worksheet
Yes,
on the 9th.
yes. And that has the 2025 fund balances on it.
Down at the
Yep,
bottom.
that one, yes. So you can see there that DA has a very healthy fund balance. DB is good, but it's also gonna be having a big influx from CHIPS money coming in here in the next 2 months. So there's plenty of funds in those two. B has a reasonable amount. It has less expenses, so it doesn't have as much. And A has plenty, but we need to keep A fairly robust because of all the projects going on. So we're saying the $1 million difference could be primarily funded through fund balance and DA and DB.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did like a cause what is did the number calculation come out to be for our levy pick, 'cause it's not,
Come out for what?
so there's the tax cap amount.
Oh, yes, so I haven't done the tax cap calculation because I needed some of these final numbers to go put it in. So for this year, in the past, we're usually over anywhere from 200,000 to 75,000, depending on the year.
No, but like, there's an amount where it wouldn't count as going over our cap. They usually send us that
Mhm.
number.
Send us the number if we go over the cap. They give us a percentage.
Yeah, like, cause it's not always like the 2% is like if it's,
That we're supposed to stay in.
Yeah, the 2% is what we're supposed to stay under. I don't think they've ever given, I've
but
never.
sometimes it's higher, like if there's development, then.
Yeah,
go
it gives
up
you an
to-
adjustment, but
Yeah,
I haven't seen that, I haven't logged in this year to see, I don't think, the only adjustment we're gonna have is the Freeville Court, but that's so minor, it's not gonna make any big difference
yeah.
because of the shared services. So, anyways.
But if you just, like, so if you did it like 2,
Mm-hmm.
then we would get 260,000, basically 260,000 to eat into that million difference you're talking about, and then the rest of it could come from the fund balance.
Mm-hmm.
But that's assuming that's
That's
with
if
this
we-
current budget,
Right.
we haven't changed anything yet.
Yeah,
So aren't we getting ahead of ourselves?
Well, I guess we're covering some details that have to be, cause the one other detail we need to take into account in this conversation is the, sidewalk project with the village.
yeah,
What we will need to pay for that for next year.
yeah, it's 100,
150,000 is the estimate for the engineering costs if the project moves forward. So we need to put that in the budget, number one, and then number two, the question is does the board want to fund that with tax dollars or with, fund balance?
Well, I think we put it in with tax dollars and see what it does. And if we're not comfortable with what it does to the tax rate.
Well, basically, it's, if you,
It's a
Okay,
capital
yeah.
asset, so I'm comfortable spending fund balance on that, for
Yeah,
the most part.
that's what it's supposed to be for.
And that's what the comptroller want. I can feel him.
so I should ask you more questions, I'm not sure what they want me to do.
Yeah, capital stuff would normally come out of reserves or fund.
yeah, it just depends on what the,
Yeah, let's, kind of anticipate doing that. But
Okay.
Let's go ahead and make that commitment, I think
Okay.
we'll all agree
Alright.
that that's a good fund balance. And we have a pretty healthy fund balance.
Yes, okay. And again, it might not even be that much, or it might not even get, depending on how that project moves forward.
But it's potentially 150,
150, and if it's not this year, it's gonna be another year, it'll be next year.
and it needs to, we
Yeah.
might as well sock that away.
Okay, alright, very good, thank you.
I thought that would be more.
It's eventually gonna be like 400,000 to 500,000, but the
Okay.
first year they're saying is the engineering cost, is what I asked Ray.
Okay,
And they're expecting the first year to be mainly engineering, and then the second year to be the construction.
that's our local match that
Yes,
we
just our
agreed
local,
to do, and the
yeah,
village is doing part of that too.
yes. So basically,
They're-
it's like $1 million local match, and it's split almost 50-50 between the town and the village.
So it's gonna be beautiful.
It's gonna be
Big, big, beautiful
wonderful and beneficial to everybody to have safe sidewalks. So,
Is there ever like unsafe sidewalk as well?
Yes.
That was a personal injury lawyers get.
That's right.
Walk around downtown
Yeah,
with a gun.
yeah.
Unsafe roads.
Tree roots really kind of skew things sometimes.
That's why I have to tell the Lorax to be quiet and keep the trees away from sidewalks.
We need the school to build a sidewalk up to campus, TC3.
They talked about it, did they?
They talk about it all the time. but
Okay.
never
They've talked about it since 1975.
Eventually, there might be enough people who walk there that they'll clear a path themselves, and then, all the all the prep work will be done.
okay,
Well, this might be the onus that gets the attention.
And then,
Can I ask some other minor questions about the A fund? There was no change to the, contract for the Dryden seniors, Gadabout, or Lifelong. Did you want to leave those the same? I have a suspicion I just put them in because
That was last year's.
it's the same as last year, so I guess I
don't
just.
think we
For
were
several
seeing-
years.
I
I mean,
think-
lifelong's relatively
We,
new.
But-
we bumped everyone up a couple,
Mm.
just by dollar amounts, cause it's so small.
Yeah, we've always bumped them by dollar amounts by like a couple hundred, but nothing was done this year. Last time was 2024, it was 2,100, and 2025 is 2,200 for Dryden seniors. They both, like, they all bumped small amounts, and then we didn't.
Lifelong went up higher though. last
Well,
time,
Lifelong-
because they
We added
came
them-
and
we
gave
added
that
them last year.
presentation.
Yeah, well, they were zero, so we were at
Yeah.
6,000. So I just wanted to check with the board, did you want to leave those the same?
Well,
Because,
They haven't contacted us otherwise, and did we get a
Not that I'm
letter or
aware of,
anything?
no.
They-
no,
No, I
Okay.
haven't seen anything.
It looks like we gave the seniors $100 more, like, for a couple of years.
yeah,
So do we wanna do like just 2,300? Cause we went from 2,000, 2,100, 2,200.
Yeah, we'll just do that.
so we're gonna do 2,300 for the seniors. Do you wanna do 500 for the Gadabout, which is consistent with prior years?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
gas still isn't $2, so, you know.
And Lifelong, do you wanna just do like $200, 100? They're a $6,000 contract.
I imagine they'll be doing more once the Center for Community opens, but I'm just guessing.
Yeah, that could be another year or more.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have a lifelong,
I mean, we just added them last year, so I don't think they'll be too,
I'm surprised they haven't sent us a letter or any sort of
Mhm.
request, and so
Yeah.
we're just grabbing numbers, and this makes
I'll
me,
leave
this
it.
makes
I
me
would
uncomfortable
leave it.
because we don't have any sort of interaction with them.
yeah,
They should be telling us what they're doing and what their needs are.
Well, before they
gave
get,
us an annual report
Yeah.
in June.
yeah, none of them get paid until they get sent in an annual report to the supervisor's office. Even Gadabout was actually late because they never sent it in. They didn't get paid till August
got it.
because they
Yeah.
took so long to send it in.
They gave us an annual report for 2024 when I think we hadn't even funded them yet.
But we're handing out $19,000 of taxpayer money without any sort of correspondence from any of these organizations. No request for an increase.
The town,
But we don't even know if they need the money. I'm
well,
being hypothetical here, but there's a,
well, if they don't even ask for a contract, then it's just money that's gonna get put into the fund balance.
Right.
They have to sign a contract lifelong also.
and when do they connect with us? When do you usually get some sort of correspondence?
Well, Gadabout, we've always, we funded them, it's sort of like when some of the towns fund TCAT, for instance, that's how we've treated it forever. Like, this is the first time even you're asking
No
for,
town funds TCAT. There are no
Yeah,
town funds
this is
for
like-
TCAT.
again, like, this is even the first time you're asking for something from Gadabout. So, I'm just
I know they're in the area, we see.
they're
them.
always, they're, yeah, and the Dryden seniors, we
Do we
usually,
ever give them
we
anything?
have always a contract with them
Mhm.
to provide,
Helps cover their, excuse me, monthly meal expenses for their
And
meetings and things like
activities,
that.
yeah. So do you wanna leave Lifelong just the same? And
And
I
see-
wouldn't
yeah.
change it, and then if they don't come to us again, cause they were talking about for this year, the adding all that tax help,
Mhm.
that's why they came to us for more money.
So we'll leave Lifelong the same,
Yes.
and then the other two will still just continue our normal increase at this time. Is that what the board wants to do?
The normal increase being $500 for Gadabout every year and 100 for Dryden seniors,
Yes.
because that feels like a good number.
It would be nice if they did present to us though, so we know what they're using the money for.
So I'll mention to Cassie when she sends the contract out to say, the board would appreciate a, a presentation sometime this year on the activities or
The
something.
funding is contingent.
Yeah, well, it's
Uh,
always,
this-
it's always contingent on the report, but if you want to see the report at a board meeting, a presentation, that would be the next piece we need to ask for. But, yeah, they always provide a report.
Oh, so they've been sending a report, but it
Oh,
just
yeah.
goes to Cassie.
Yeah, I mean, it gets
Okay.
filed, it gets filed in the server, I mean, it's always,
it.
it's always there, like, they can't, the check is not released
Okay.
or
Yeah.
printed until that is provided.
Right.
Okay, thank you. And the other easy, I guess I'm gonna say easy question is fire departments.
If we're going to a district, do we really need to fund the reserve balances?
Oh.
What's the number on that?
My bigger,
Towards the end of
my
it.
bigger question was, is there money we saved last year from not paying Aetna that can be put in a reserve instead of funding the current reserves?
Yes.
Yeah, you can use that towards their requests, absolutely.
Or put it in our, put it in the
But
reserves?
otherwise, it's staying in that fund, and then when we have the fire district, it's gonna get turned over.
Right, but if we use last year's savings towards this year's fund balance requests, then that reduces how
Yeah.
much we're adding into this year's budget.
And so even if I put in just what they request, the 3 departments requested along with the workers' comp, it actually decreases their tax rate. They don't need as much, because there is no Aetna contract to fund. So it's a matter of if we wanted to say, we're gonna use some the leftover fund balance from the Aetna contract, it would continue to decrease the tax rate.
I think that'd be a good thing to do, cause then that's something we could explain to the taxpayers, that money that they paid last year for Aetna was used and distributed to the other departments for their fund balance.
Well, it's not gonna go to the departments themselves.
It'll go to our fund balance.
It'll go, well, it's not gonna be, it's going to our fund balance, but then in this budget, we can say we're using it to lessen the property taxes in 2026.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, and so the only question would be is if we didn't do that step that Spring's suggesting, and just left it in fund balance, then it could, when the district comes into place, all the fund balance would then be distributed out of the town into the new fire district. So all that money would then end up with them anyways.
Right.
So it's just a matter of
Tastes better.
which one do you guys, how do you wanna handle it?
Where's the fund balance? What number is that for fire districts?
Fire,
25?
fund balance or budget line, which one would you?
The fund balance, we're talking about putting
Oh.
the money not spent this cycle into the fire district fund balance.
Right, so
Where does that show up?
the best place to find that is on that tax, worksheet, the tax rate worksheet, and there's a tab for fire department.
Okay, so it's not in this.
No, it's not in the budget, the fund balance doesn't come in the budget.
Isn't it, it's on that sheet.
Yeah, so you can see there the estimated is 376, 327, but that's, let's see, did I make that entry here? Oh, but I accounted for, that is with, we budgeted 248,500 for Aetna. We spent 50,000 of it recently, and so I put that into that number, so that's already accounting for the leftover. So you could say there's 200,000 of fund balance we could appropriate for the 2026 budget instead of taxing for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fire department tab, and I don't, okay. 12/31/25 estimated
Yeah.
fund balance.
Yes.
And that, we're talking about increasing by 200 or 198.
It's already been increased by that 198. I've already taken that into account because it was such a big number, I thought it was important
Okay,
to
so
have.
that's where it is now.
Yeah, that's where it's, if all else goes the same, this is where it could be at the end of the year.
Okay.
So the question is do you want to say, we would basically decrease that by 200,000, so there'd be what, 176 or so, left at the end of 2025 because we'll appropriate 200 of it into, the 2026 budget and not tax for it.
And that would appear where in the 2026 budget?
It'll appear on, if you look at, if you go to your tentative budget, look at page 26.
Yep.
You can see appropriated fund balance, is down at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And that, in the budget, we'd have in the property tax line, the amount we're in tax, and then to balance it, it would have the 200,000 to balance the budget. So basically, we're lessening the property taxes to balance the budget with fund balance.
So there would be another line under appropriated fund balance, or
It-
that
no,
number
it'd
would
just be- it would
plus
just be-
two, 198.
Yeah, it would just be right in there. So. And if that's, you know, that's an easy adjustment on my, or obviously for preliminary budget, we need to know that, so we put it in.
Okay.
The only question, sorry, does that leave us enough in our existing fund balance to pay for lawyers and other fund we're gonna have creating a fire district?
Officially, and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think that's officially general fund, because it's a town action.
Okay, so we can't use fire department fund balance for that.
I don't believe so.
It's not gonna be that much.
Okay.
We had a talk before you got here, but about what sort of resources we need for that.
Okay.
It's probably just 10,000
Okay,
tops.
excellent.
Yeah, just because of the,
Yeah, 'cause when we were gonna do the consultant previously, it had to come out of A fund.
Okay, and then we'll sell off Etna's trucks at like a
You
garage
won't do
sale.
anything.
No, they just, you're not doing
Yeah.
anything, it's gonna go to the fire district.
We created, and hopefully,
Yeah, well, for them, it just depends on what happens with, if the state does anything with them, I mean, otherwise, they'll have an if the district is formed soon enough, they would,
Their problem.
well, the district could just invite them in. And
Mhm.
that's all, and then, you know, that solves the problem too,
Okay.
and there would be a
which,
sub-office or a sub-department within the district.
It's their decision.
Yeah, it'll all fall under their,
But a set of commissioners would look over what they do as opposed to us.
right.
Yeah, that would be a fire chief that's not from Edna.
Right, they wouldn't be doing their own budget.
Yeah, I mean,
Driver
it wouldn't be our problem, so.
Right.
But I mean, the way they're trying to keep the payments there, I think that's what they're gonna try to do, is to just get in with the district.
Whatever. Okay.
And then ambulance is just the next one.
So are we giving fire departments everything they asked for? Do we need to give them everything if we're going to a district?
Well, the thing is like if you, I would say, they would, like, if you don't, then they're behind by another year in their capital.
Can we do something about the mortgage? Cause they just refinanced it.
Which,
No,
which
it's not
department
ours.
are we talking
The
about?
bunkhouse.
It's not ours.
it's not ours, it's not in our name.
They're their own private entity. We're
Yeah,
just
but they
contracting
keep
with them.
asking for money for it.
Well, the guys have to keep making payments on it.
Just pay it off.
Well, that's where they should go talk to the Strebel people or somebody who can help them figure that out. Alright, and then ambulance, if we don't change the rate, it goes up 17,490, the amount that's brought in just because of the levy change. And they asked for,
He asked for 1,273,739. And I did have that in the tentative budget, because it was in time. And when I put that in that same tax rate worksheet,
yeah, and they have fund balance also.
they do have some fund balance, and again, can only be used in the ambulance. Right now, it would increase the tax rate by 2.5%, which is a levy increase of 4.4%, to fund the,
Ambulance
ambulance.
with their request.
yeah.
How much more was there, what was the increase?
$200,000 or something.
Really about 50,000.
50,000.
ambulance levy would go up 4.16.
Which is $1 impact per thousand of what? How do we see that?
It's probably about, I would use that's the percentage.
The total, the tax rate increase would go up about 2 cents.
Yeah, because they're only asking for 50,000 more in a 2.3 million budget.
Yeah.
So the difference is about $5.
Yeah, that's about.
How is that even $5? I mean, I would think
Yeah, it's less
the
than
levy
it's
would go
hard,
up enough to support 50.
The levy only went up, this year, if you don't change the tax rate,
1.4.
it went up only by 17,500. The levy increase,
The entire town?
for
Levy?
the ambulance district, yes.
Isn't that the entire town?
No,
I believe so, but there's some exemptions and so on,
it would include,
it's in the tax assessor, like, we get that number from the tax
Right.
assessor.
I'm trying to think who's that in.
What did, okay, that's interesting. So what did the town's tax levy go up?
That seems right.
1.495
Mhm.
out.
1.495%.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
were not many reassessments done this year because of the county. Remember, they're changing over to a new system. They sent a letter to us at the beginning of the year, so they may not even reassess much in 2026 either, which people will probably be happy about, considering.
Yeah, cause there was such a huge jump in
But I thought they did yearly, the whole thing was moving towards yearly assessments.
they said that,
Yeah,
but
they're
then they
changing
didn't
their
get it done.
system to do,
You're doing two different things here.
no, not.
If we were gonna do it yearly, and then they did them all, and then now they're falling behind, is my understanding.
So they didn't do,
They've not done a countywide in a long time, I don't think. They do certain types of property on a rotating basis.
Yeah, but
like-
last year, didn't they
Farmland,
do like
residential.
everybody's houses?
No.
Well, I don't know if they did everybody's, but we had a large
yeah.
jump.
Yeah, a lot of people in Trenton got hit.
Mhm. But not everybody changed.
They're trying to do a new assessment database that they sent a letter to us in February, asking for us to.
Yeah, but didn't they pause that because of how expensive it was, or they're still doing it? I mean, it doesn't really matter for this year.
Yeah,
Taplin County approves approves property assessments pause.
Yeah.
That's, isn't that interesting? Well, that makes sense then,
certain years change.
even though property values have gone up the last year, I know, just from getting my Zillow
Mhm.
notices that I never asked for.
They're starting to drop,
Well,
Sell,
no.
starting to drop in the last like month.
The stuff you hear from Zillow is not, it is a purported market analysis done by realtors.
Yeah, I know they're not
It's not-
related
it's
to the
not a-
county.
It's not a tax assessor,
Right.
which is different, and I know they're different, cause they have different assessment standards, cause I wrote the damn law for Washington DC about it,
I think it's,
so.
that one's pretty obvious.
So that's, they're not even, the numbers are different, the banks use the one, the real estate, brokers one, they don't use the tax assessment one. Like, that's not what they do.
I know.
So,
Yeah, they're different, you get it.
I think most people are probably happy that they're not gonna get their house reassessed for like 2 years because of this way they jumped in that one, the last one, but.
Well, because they use market value, and
Well,
look
they-
at sales, and things went so wonky during COVID.
Well, they purport it's market, they have different, it's supposed to, they're actually different, like, they call it market value, but it's a totally different standard that tax assessors use than the realtors who do their, even the bank assessors do it a little bit different. It's like, there's literally different standards in the national association of these things, it's.
You've
Alright,
got
so
about
It's just
45
ridiculous, it
minutes.
doesn't really matter though, because
Yeah.
it's just, they still jump like ridiculous amounts no matter what.
Well, I think why it matters to us is it helps us explain, the ratio of a tax increase versus a levy increase.
Yeah.
And presumably, if ours went up 1.495, it's because there's more real estate to tax, there's new
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, that's
Here.
usually what it is.
And that's, we'll get asked by people, our constituents, why, and, we'll have to explain, well, the assessment didn't just go up automatically, to make pace with CPI and our increased costs.
Yeah, I
A
mean, if we
small
were-
tax increase can be justified, I hope we don't, but we'll see.
Do you have a timer you can put on? So you know how many minutes we have left? You're gonna count down.
6:14.
It's a 6:14.
Right, so then the big, I mean, Leonardo's not here, so it's gonna be kind of incomplete.
Alright, let's keep
Discussion.
going, cause we are,
Yeah, we're not.
So this is our final meeting, we're not,
it depends if
We're
we're
not
Well, I
done.
think I don't know, the thing is that we have to schedule the public hearing, and it's gonna be held no later, the first one's gonna be held no later than November 6th. Okay, so we,
We have to
and
post,
you can amend stuff after the public hearing too, so it's not.
Mhm.
we
just
have to post by the 28th. We have to post the budget by the 28th, is my understanding, and the hearing, right?
Yeah, that's the Tuesday.
Right.
so the public
Last
hearing
day
must be
is
2 days after,
The
The
third,
first Thursday after the election.
We need a week, at least lead time, but
You were saying even more.
it has
because
to
of
get to the,
journal.
yeah, yeah, it's like a journal of his.
So our deadline for being done is Tuesday.
Mhm.
Yeah, cause they don't always get it in time. Yeah, in time.
so if we do not complete this tonight, we have to figure out a time to meet, possibly Monday or Tuesday.
Correct, so we have to keep talking so we
Really
get this
Monday.
done.
I mean, what numbers we put in, we can publish and make changes at the hearing too. So the number, like you're not
Yeah, well,
necessarily not locked in, we just have to have that first public hearing, and then it has to be we have to pass a final budget by November 20th.
the very
Which we have 2 other meetings after
the sixth.
the public hearing for just the budget.
Yes,
So we have, and I think the 20th is the
It's the second meeting.
so.
Yeah.
That's the one where you got other public hearing about.
We don't
the
have to meet that.
Data centers.
No, we.
Are we not
we-
sick of this?
Yeah.
so,
Oh, December.
what other topics other than salaries need to be addressed? Let's create a to-do list so we can knock these puppies off.
Are we doing anything about the shelter this year, budgeting wise?
She
The
requested
dog shelter.
funds for it and they all
Yeah.
made sense in her
Yeah.
budget request.
Oh, no, for the grant,
So
for the
does-
shelter.
No,
If
because
we have to, I'll pay the grant writer. It
I don't-
comes down
we
to
have-
Out of town works budget or?
wherever I find it.
Yeah, we have,
Okay.
we can always do a fund balance appropriation for
Okay.
that. The kennel Kapler didn't have time to talk to me till next week, is what he told me.
Who? What?
We rent space from Chris Kapler for the kennel in there.
Are we-
So
Are we doing an RFP for the dog control
that's
officer?
not dog control.
Oh, no,
That's
it's
the-
separate, are we, that just reminded me.
Yeah, we would need to put it out, but we have a placeholder amount in there.
Right.
Do we really need to do that? She just started, she's doing great.
It's only an annual contract, it doesn't have an automatic renewal on it,
No.
so.
So we didn't do it for like 2 optional years, so we have to put it out to bid by.
It doesn't have any, right?
I
Did you
know,
look
I
at it?
haven't looked at it in a long
It
time.
was a 1-year contract,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
just-
with no automatic extensions.
Right.
So the next one, yes, if you could, but I think we were on a new person and needed to kind of gauge it before we did
Okay, so we don't have an option to renew.
not without doing an RFP.
Okay.
So we just ask her to, obviously advertise it and let her know, so she can,
I mean, why, so she wouldn't think that we're unhappy.
yeah, no, I think it's just, we're just following the rules, we're
Yeah.
covering them ours, so.
Yeah.
But, so, you put an increase in for the
Yeah,
kennel
'cause I would
lease,
expect someone to come
Mhm.
with at least a small,
I'm gonna say this for the record. We probably pay the highest amount for dog
Right.
control than 90%.
yeah,
And places, other places who have DCOs as employees, they're done through the town or county, police department. And some of them are not required to maintain the kennel, municipalities rent shelter space someplace else. It runs the whole gambit.
Yeah, but we're not gonna be in a place at this point in time.
No,
to
I'm not suggesting we change
the
anything, I'm just
process this
saying.
year.
And I see it like on the town clerk's Facebook page, what does everybody pay for dog control? $9,800, $7,500, oh, plus $800 for the shelter space and like.
For a month, what are we talking about? A year.
But a lot of those are more rural communities, I think, who contract like with Country Acres, and so they're in a position where they have someone who's reactive, not proactive, and don't have their own shelter.
Yeah, and we don't have any options, I mean,
We
I remember
really
trying to get SPCA to do it, and they couldn't, I called Country Acres, they couldn't do it,
Mm-hmm.
they were at
And
capacity.
they're a good hike from us. I mean, I like Lindsay, and they cover like 13 municipalities. And they have 3 people.
So something we might talk about is having that as civil service position for the town.
I don't know, I think there's some insurance implications that were discussed way back when. It's another rabbit hole we go down.
We should consider that for FY 20, or
Yeah.
for calendar 27.
yeah.
Okay.
Cause we're gonna have a design proposed for a kennel that'll meet the state requirements too. That's gonna be expensive if we build our own kennel.
Well, we build it big enough, so the neighboring towns might wanna contract with us.
I was thinking.
And we could be entrepreneurial,
Yeah.
that would be my preference.
So,
Yes,
but for as
please
far as
do.
like with Kapler, the number I put in as a placeholder, but it's
Could
about,
change.
what I would think he'd asked for anyway. Cause last, he did like 2 years in when the propane costs shot up, remember he came to us
Mhm.
asking for more money.
Well, being that his space doesn't
But
even
it's-
meet code requirements for this, then
I'm just saying, I didn't expect him to ask for something to make up for that, and then, or some amount, but I also really, I'm just gonna tell him, there's probably 18 months left in what we're gonna need from him, just because we're probably gonna need through this year, but we may, it just depends on how like what happens with that grant, application that Bambi's putting in, and how, how fast all that can get built.
There will be a expense.
Yeah.
Rick and I ordered a survey of the property.
Yeah. So,
At least we on the land.
anyway, so the number I put in for the kennel now is a guess, but I'm not gonna, but we can still change it because at the budget hearing,
Okay.
when I get done talking to him next week.
okay.
And that would just leave I think the salary stuff,
I believe so, I don't think I didn't see anything else that caught my eye or thought of.
unless there's something else you all wanted to change or something.
No?
I can put the chart up there.
So, you put the chart up there, so I hope all y'all don't mind. I took your chart and cause it was PDF, so I had to recreate a new Excel spreadsheet. And
I
then,
sent you my Excel, I just didn't start with it, so
it's just,
it's fine.
I just exported it. So, so I went to Indeed.com. I looked around a bunch of ones. Full disclosure, I went and talked to my Cornell HR staff and asked them like, what software do you guys use? And they're like, well, we don't really know because it's not at Central, but, they said they weren't any much help. And God knows they take weeks, if not months, for one salary assessment, so. So what I did was I went in and I looked at I did the most comparable job title I could find that went with it, and looked at what their current salary is. So I did a comparison of what their annual salary would be and where it was hourly. I did all the calculations. I hid those columns, but the calculations are all in there based on the number of hours and everything that were also over there to do a comparison. It's pretty different than, because these are not necessarily government positions, they're just, if you're trying to be like for, court clerk, I could find law clerk, right? So, you know, that kind of a thing. The David Makar was the big difference. And I can pull that up.
Are we doing his salary? Because he's not part of the budget, as far as
Well,
I
he's
can
still
tell.
gonna show.
Yeah,
Oh, so.
so he's not in the budget, the physical budget, but we will need him in, if we do this pay schedule, eventually we will need it in there. And obviously, I'm gonna need some sort of documentation from the board on his salary for payroll for 2026, for civil service and et cetera.
But
So
you
this-
don't need that, that's a separate negotiation, so he's not,
I wouldn't say it's separate, it's in the same realm.
Is it in the same bucket of money for the?
do we need to decide his salary for our budget, is my.
For this budget, no. I
Okay.
need to decide it for the Dryden Fiber budget, and
Right.
I need it for paying him.
Okay.
Because
so-
that's such a unique, position within the town, I don't think it really factors in.
And that
Yeah,
includes his people too, right?
He's
His
got
employees
one person.
He has one person.
Yeah.
An account clerk.
Mhm.
So, so I can show you guys, if you want me to share my screen, what I found, though, I could not find anything for director of planning. I killed myself, I couldn't do it.
For municipal government?
It's very hard
Using
to,
Indeed.com,
Okay.
yeah,
it's challenging.
so, I can, if you want me to, I can share.
Yeah, I just let your co-host making sure.
So, nice, eyes will. So,
Can
Do you have, oh, do you have
Yeah.
a mouse there? Thank you.
Go
So-
full
Yeah, I
screen,
have it
I
here.
did.
there.
Thanks, Lisa.
So,
And
just bear with me, so I'll show you what I did. So, we'll take the town of highway superintendent, cause it's at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Can you reduce the size of the window to the right?
So, you had,
No, you slide, just put your cursor right on the line between her spreadsheet and the town of
I
Dayton.
think she might have to.
I can't, it's not mine, actually, it's yours. Anyway,
You're talking about this thing on this,
yeah,
Right, where that, you should get a little.
mine's hidden.
view.
It's okay, let's just humor me, okay? Town of highway superintendent, hours per week, this is what the salary was this year,
Mm-hmm.
okay? This was the CPI 3% change. This was the proposed, through all the calculations all y'all
Mhm.
did. This was the closest Indeed salary I could find, which would have been a -4% increase from this, okay? And then I made a column of what is greater, either 3.5 Indeed or CPI 3.5, just to compare,
Mhm.
okay? So, basically, and then I redid the job titles over here, so I didn't have to scroll back and forth all the time. So, basically, the ones in red were the only ones that went where the Indeed was higher. So, like, in this one, your guys' calculations was 9%, Indeed's was 17.
What's the position?
This one was Director of Finance and Personnel. Then there was Planner and Deputy Town Clerk.
Are
Indeed, this is where Indeed was higher than what you guys had did.
Are these higher rates?
So these are higher rates, but let me just say something my personal opinion on this. This is current higher rates, so that's what, frozen in time, that's what this year's salary is. You wouldn't, bring someone in even at the top of their game and give them like an extra, this is what people would be getting paid regardless of how long they've been here. So that's the way I'm used to it. This was still lower. So there were a few that were different. Like this one, Indeed was 2% above CPI, but not the 9% here.
Okay, but just to be clear, these aren't hiring rates, these are,
These are median current
Yeah.
salary rates.
so not hiring rates.
Right.
I don't mean to quibble, but CPI was 3.3, and we should
It's
be.
actually 3.4. I looked it up again today.
I just
It's-
looked it up too, and
Okay.
from the year ending in August.
Yeah, are you looking at the Northeast, or are you
Yeah,
looking at
I'm
the?
looking at the
Okay,
Northeast.
well, how come I have the same, I have it bookmarked because I have to go back to it, but keep going.
We're short on time.
Keep going.
So the big difference here, quite frankly, was David's, which now we know is not part of the problem. His was actually, should have gone up 75%. So that's its own whole thing if I take him out. And then I was trying to do a delta, actually I'll just take him out and take his staff out. No, I can't do that. Messes everything up. Bear with me. Yes, I know. Why did it do that? Alright, so it gave you the, I just messed it up. I did something wrong with that. But with his in there, if I take David, I'll just take David's out only just for the kicks and giggles to try and keep it from being totally wonko. If you take David out of the equation, you get a total increase year to year, which can't be right, of 2.13. So there's some outliers here that seem like they would be, again, these are for most of these are private industry and not government level positions. But you do see some big changes. So according to most of these, we actually are paying above what industry averages would be. And then there are some that we're just not. So I don't know if this is helpful at all. I think it does point to depending on the data you're pulling, and this is not national, this was, I used the Ithaca region, for the numbers, so, I don't know if this is helpful, but I couldn't print it and make it, I'd be even later if that had happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is affirming what I've learned doing this process as well, that you can spread a wide net and find numbers that are all over. And then it gets back to, doing what we do and adjusting it incrementally,
Yeah, but
and not doing these wild swings. We did try and match a selected cohort of salaries.
what we have though is we've been working on this since at least 2018, incrementally. And some of the numbers we have are where they are because we have new employees. There's a couple that are people who have been here a long time. Those seem to be the ones that jump because they were already underpaid previously. And I think the total amount, even if we left the numbers in the way they were in the chart as presented, when you add in the healthcare bit, the actual amount goes down by $30,000. The change in healthcare that we made. We'll
That,
read on
that's,
last week.
okay, I hear what you're saying.
So, and then and as far as the only one that I think, and I'm just gonna say this, like, the executive director for Dryden Fiber, until that's its own entity, is going to be seen by everybody in this town hall, no matter how special it's perceived to be, as,
I'm just, I
I'm
was
just saying, no, your number thing there is not what's being talked about, that's higher.
no, I know, I'm
Substantially,
just pulling
I'm just saying-
consistently the same data from the same website is what I did.
Right, and you're gonna have people who've been here for 10 years looking at that going, what the hell?
Oh, I know, I'm
So-
not proposing that that be the salary, but
Including the person
I just
who's
pulled the numbers through.
facilitated a lot of the actual work done on the fiber network. Who
Okay.
manages 50 people, or whatever, 30 people or something.
So again,
So
I'm
I'm
not,
just saying, like, if you wanna have that fight with him, knock yourself out.
I'm
Like
just-
who?
Our highway director.
all I was trying to do was pull up
I
and
thought you
say,
said it wasn't gonna be a problem.
Well, no, I
Like
don't,
you said on
I'm just
Friday.
saying, like, if we're gonna have to have that talk, but he put in an amount, whatever, just, I think that doing the chart bit, we need to do it, cause we've been talking in circles for almost literally more than half a decade, okay? So we're doing, I mean, that's why we're doing this. Okay, now we're just trying to figure out the right numbers to start at, that's how I feel about it. And the one that I feel like definitely needs to be amended is recreation one, only because, like, many of the numbers that are higher around the regions are park and recreation one. We don't have that yet, and when that comes around, then that'll be a different discussion at a different time, but I don't.
so this is the Indeed salary for Parks and Recreation. in our
Yeah, the
region.
number that came in the chart was higher than that,
Yeah,
by about 10.
What chart? Oh, this chart,
The
Yeah, the
original
chart that
one.
Christina and Leonardo worked on.
but that
The
doesn't.
number for director of recreation in that one, I think, was what, 82 or something?
Yeah, 82, I believe, I can't.
Yeah.
But she's been here for, what,
5, 6 years.
5 years or something? or 6
Indeed
years?
brings it in at 61,000.
But you see, what we're failing to do here, and it's again, a basic budget principle, if a position's qualifications and the position responsibilities do not change, you can't justify a 29% increase. A person was hired for a job, civil service job, and if you don't have changing circumstances, they came into a job expecting a certain pay, and they also expect adjustments. But we're reclassifying jobs for existing personnel, and nobody does that. I know it, we got
Well,
we all have
the
our
city
gut
of-
feelings about
The
things.
city of Ithaca did it before, and they had the same issue here. It was 1 year of this kind of discussion, and then it just didn't
I
happen again.
know, but the city of Ithaca is in like millions of dollars deficit, aren't they?
And
Yeah, we're not gonna get there.
And they have a
Well,
much-
honestly, we spend
much
more money on the rail
bigger
trail than we do on
salary.
anything else.
they have a much bigger personnel management challenge than we do. I mean, they've got hundreds of employees.
So you would bring down the director of recreation a little bit, which
Well, yeah,
makes sense, what you
and
say we
because the
don't
thing
have
is,
to back.
even, cause the only other town that has, well, there's 2 towns I know of that have a director, but only one of them is full-time, and that would be Lansing. They also run their parks. So they're not, so it's not even it's not fully comparable. The other one that just does programs like we do, but they have less, is Ulysses. But all the other municipalities are using the rec partnership, which we also pay into too, and we do that because of the west side of town.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have to look at that one.
So, there's also that part of it, which, that's a vestige of the whole east side, west side, Hatfield, McCoy thing going on in Dryden forever. Which, if you're gonna look at trying to cut costs, then maybe you should be looking at cutting out of the rec partnership.
Oh, you'll be sorry.
Well, I know that, but that's the thing, it's like, if you're talking about stuff like that, which is like a third rail. So,
I don't think
For the west
anyone
side.
is talking about that. What we're talking about is how to adjust salaries in a way that we can justify, and I'm not hearing it.
well, the
You know.
justification, we've had a problem of losing employees to both Ithaca and the county recently where, they simply paid more.
How
So
many
here's the
employees did we
thing.
lose, Jason?
We
Village of
lose-
Lansing's about to advertise for
So
a
he-
deputy too.
How many employees do we lose?
We've lost 30
lose
in the past
three.
5 years.
Clerk.
So-
Do you think that's a lot?
Okay,
Out of how many?
How many, that's almost half, that's close to half the
You
people
know
in
how
town
many.
hall.
yeah, but
Alright.
I don't make the paychecks.
3
I don't
employees
know.
in 5 years. I'm not saying I wanna lose a single employee, but let's not, you
We
know.
also lost the code, we lost Shelley for,
So I'm sorry to say this, cause here's the thing is I feel very strongly we need to pay people fairly, so I do not want anyone to think I'm saying anything else, okay? But I have managed people for many, many, many years. Fortunately, I'm not right now, but the reality is, as a manager of human beings, the last thing I wanna do is hold anybody back. If someone is leaving for a higher salary, they're very likely also leaving for different responsibilities. They're also very likely leaving for maybe a place with a different cost of living. Of course we don't wanna have turnover, cause it adds stress to the whole system, but we can't base everything based on whether someone might leave. It really needs to be around whether the salary is
Well,
fair.
You're right, we need to be able to hire.
Yeah.
We
And
need
I
to
can
look
tell
higher.
you in the past, the first time I had to hire for a deputy, I had more than 30 applications. That was almost 30 years ago. The last time I had to hire for a deputy, we got 2.
Right, but here's the thing, so I went through the same thing, we had we could not find people. I mean, we were kidding around about driving places to get people who need work and bringing them
Well,
back,
and I'm also
right?
restricted to residents, so probably that's not even
So,
something I
at
need
the
to
same
say.
time, you know, those are gonna be ebbs and flows, you know. I would bet you right now that in 6 months, if you go to hire, you're gonna get plenty of applicants.
I don't know, McDonald's can't get,
So, I think the main thing is the salaries need to be fair. I really struggle in trying to worry about whether they're competitive. I'm not trying to be negative, I think it's about doing what's right by our staff, but it's not also about just trying to keep people. If they have the opportunity to grow and do something else somewhere else, good for them.
no, I wouldn't wanna discourage someone for leaving for a better opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, she's right in that, you know, people don't leave, that's not the first reason people leave for a higher salary. They leave because they want more challenges.
or they.
Done research
or-
on this and
Or they.
that's true.
Or
You
they get
may
changed.
may not like
The other-
it, but that's
well-
I can show you the data.
It is.
I don't wanna see your data, I've
I mean,
lived a life
here's the
here.
other thing, like, we constantly pile more things on people here
Thank
than
you.
they're actually hired
Every
for.
project that gets approved has a huge
That's one of
trickle
them is
down.
the secretary for my office who is doing things that she was never hired for. Period.
And she's also moved to full-time.
She has.
She was hired to be a part-time.
So,
But no, but the job duties have
For
been
that
piled
reason.
on.
exactly, so the
But she's
question.
moved to
So the
full-time.
question I would have is, are the job title accurate for the jobs, right?
But this
And
is,
then-
we've been doing this for 8 years.
I-
This is one of my points, Ships, right? We've been doing, this circular discussion's been going on for 8 years about job titles and everything else. And we
Right,
went through all the job titles before. And the
So
problem
they're
Dan
right.
even brought up before, last week, which I thought was valid, is that like, when someone's doing well, how do you reward that? And there's a way to do that, even with a step system. It's called having like a bonus that doesn't also apply to their salary, so that it doesn't pile onto their, retirement, which is the other
Yep.
concern he had. But
absolutely.
you can do that, but you still have to do and then you still have to do all of the reviews, because if you're going to have a problem employee, the way you can only do something about it if you're doing reviews.
You're preaching to the choir on that one.
Right, so what we're talking about here is change, like, this chart is about the hiring thing and then fitting people in who have been here according to that chart, and
Who
That's what
says
we're-
that part of the step has to take place? I agree, we have to have competitive hiring rates. But to go in and retroactively build out people's salaries based on those is such a leap that I don't get the logic behind it, you know?
Well, if
We've
you're
got
gonna
people
hire-
you're proposing, 30% increases on who aren't even asking for a salary increase, who are happy doing their work. And, you know, if somebody felt grossly underpaid, you know, the way this system works, they can come and talk to us about it. But to just
Well, you're,
pull numbers out of the wherever, and because we've come up with this grid, to me, I can't defend that
Well,
to
you're-
people who aren't getting a 30% increase, who are paying our budget. You know, how do we turn to people who, you know, who gets a 10% raise a year? I don't know anyone who
But
gets
they're not
that.
gonna be getting that every year, then
We
it's
say
going to
that,
be-
we say that every cycle.
No,
Whoa.
this would
This would,
stop that.
that would clear this,
Yeah,
because
that would
then
stop it.
there would be no, we
Yeah.
would only be going off of this every year.
Yeah, that's
But
the point.
the reason why I'm not in favor of this, and I know we've already, you know, agreed to pursue it with adjustments, is it takes away the whole review process that Jason just described as necessary. And if only there were a system, oh wait, there is, we just don't use it.
No, it's been used. You
been
love to
used,
say
it's been
that it's
effective.
used. It's
Well-
just not as effective because you have a great staff. They all put in 110%. So they all are getting the same raise and they're like, great, I put in all that work and I'm still getting the same raise as the person down the road. So they're not seeing the
The
difference.
person down the road,
Not the road, down the hall, whatever you
down the
want to
hall, so
say.
a 6% raise is not enough for
It's
some
not,
of our
well,
employees.
it's a challenge of if they started low, they're still low, and so
Right.
it's still a challenge. So that's the point, is we're trying to get it so everybody, and you can say, okay, well, we can get the hiring rates right, but if I don't correct everybody else, then I'm hiring somebody at a higher rate than someone who's been here 10 years, and that's not fair. And then it adds in a whole nother monster
I hate
that
to
the
say it.
payroll has to keep track of, is who's on which system. I don't know who to, you know, like, it
I'm gonna go
becomes.
clear off the table in my office,
So the-
because I think we're gonna need it.
Yeah, so that's my concern, is that we're trying, I know this is a big jump this year, but it will then be a consistent CPI jump every year.
Right, but
Or-
you can't, bear with, just humor me for a second.
Yeah, no, that's
If,
okay.
if I'm bringing if I go to hire somebody,
Mhm.
okay, so I've got a manager who makes $50,000, right? And, let's say I have 3 managers, they all make $50,000. One of them's been there 5 years, one of them's been there 10, and one's been there 15. But that's the salary for that job, right? So if one of them leaves and I hire somebody else, I'm gonna hire them at $50,000 because that's what the job pays. It's not about how long they've been here.
So do you not take into account the years of service that they have, you know, like the one that's been there 10 years, 5 years?
In the world I live in, we're not, no. The other world I live in,
I don't know how you're
It's-
gonna continue
you get
Zoom
paid
down there though.
for the work, for what the
That was
job
like
is,
continue Zoom
not
in
for
my
how long
office,
you've
though.
been there.
We'll be able to use
Yeah.
There are
everyone's
sometimes people
individual
might have gotten a
computers,
bonus at some point, or something was skewy, and so you have somebody who's like a few $1,000s higher, and then every once in a while they come in and go, well, that's not right, and I level set everybody again. So, but if you're gonna start a step system, I think you've gotta start for what the job is, not what the job is plus years of service bonuses or increases. It's like, cause if they came in now, this is what the salary would be, even if they had 20 years experience someplace else, it's still they're doing the same work. And I think that causes frustration between people too, because you have 2 people sitting next to each other who are doing comparable work, and this person might be like, well, I had a job for 10 years somewhere else and they've been here 10 years, so they're making all this more money, but I work just as hard for the same work. So I always feel that pain too, because it's like, why should they make more when you're
Yeah,
doing
but
the
what
same
you're
job?
gonna be doing for certain thing, like in those cases, like if you're looking to hire, say we have this, you know, this chart, and you're looking to hire somebody with 5 years experience instead of looking for a rookie, you're gonna advertise it at the 5 years experience rate, you're not gonna advertise it at the no experience rate.
Yeah, it's gonna be,
So,
well, that's gonna be a challenge,
Then
because,
how
yeah,
would the
that
job
would be a
exist?
challenge. I think we'd have to, that would be a case by case basis of, do we allow them to take a step, be a step up? I couldn't say we could do 5 years, that's
I'm
because,
saying, like,
yeah,
you're not gonna, cause you're not gonna, like, if you're looking for, that's just like a
yeah,
down
That-
the road, but we still need to have to establish this range.
yes, and there's some
Because-
details that are gonna have to get worked in for that type of situation, cause there's multiple situations like that,
There's a
so.
lot of them, it's a normal government situation, because like I know when looking, like even for attorney jobs, when the Attorney General's office advertises things, they advertise different things at different step levels, because if they're looking for a seasoned litigator, they're not going to hire them at the rate they're hiring someone right out of law school. They know they'll never get anybody with that.
Right, but it's gonna be a different job level.
Right, which is this step thing accounts for. If we're saying this is what we're gonna do it,
So we would hire a step 3 planning director.
like if you're looking for someone that with that kind of experience, yeah. But if you're looking for a planner just out of, you know,
Or some that's changed jobs in the middle, like there's those,
Right,
all
but
those.
with-
But what if the job description, say planning director says 10 years experience or 5 years, I mentioned it does, I haven't seen it.
yeah.
But we're gonna want somebody with 5 or 10 years experience for a position, that's in the job description.
So, yeah, so we're gonna have to make
So
some, we're gonna have to put
that's
some
incongruent.
we're gonna have to put some parameters and guidelines in place for hiring someone with experience. That is not, that is something we are gonna need to do, and we will do, because there's some guidelines we gotta set up.
If you go in right now and you say, how much does a code enforcement person make? The average, your standard median salary right now
What are we doing,
is,
are we getting?
We have to move down to Fairview to the clerk's office, but mine thing is still gonna be logged in. I tell them to turn that on. We just have to turn on the screens on.
Water, we should take that with me. Oh, Bambi's gonna need her recording.
Oh, yeah,
I'll let her come and get that.
Jason, just move your chair and sit down. Yeah, that's
I
done.
would do that.
I'm watching people getting laid off left and right, so I'm not too worried.
I'm not either, and
Hold on, what's going on with Yeah.
Do you need me? I probably need to be on the.
Yeah. Got all weird. Immersive?
so with this proposed new higher rate sheet, I don't see the existing higher rate. Is that because we don't know it? So we just based it on what we currently pay. And if we needed to replace employee X, we would just make up a number right now. Basically what? We'd say, okay, we lost this person person moved on for whatever reason. They were here for 9 years and the salary was $60,000, but we're gonna hire at 51,000. Because the new person has no experience.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
If we go to and look at comparable salaries for that job.
And so the salary, so recent hires, the planner, code enforcement,
Deputy clerk,
deputy clerk.
clerks.
So both of the most recent hires in the planning department,
Court clerks.
yep,
Ray looked at like, what are others hiring at? And I need to be close, because like even, this most recent hire, he had to put it out twice because he had no takers. So he had to increase the
I
salary.
remember that.
Yeah,
We agree.
so, yeah, so that's, so it's like, you can notice like any positions that were more recently hired have a much less increase than
Mhm.
staff within Tyler Coker.
Much less increase. you
Like
mean.
a percentage increase.
2% or 1%.
Yeah.
Oh, if we were to follow this proposed
Yes, if we
scheme.
got, so basically saying like, okay, well, the more recent hires have already been mostly corrected.
Yeah.
So that's why.
But, right, I've said this before, but I just have a problem with the retroactive correction. To me, it's really hard to justify. It's hard for me to, see as a legitimate process, because who does that? I mean, we hire people based on a job description. They're here. We're not in a bidding war to keep them. We have to give them a cost of living increase and maybe a bonus for good work. But this idea that they've got to be retroactively corrected, just can't. I don't get the logic.
Cornell did that like 2 years ago, a year ago. Massively, with those roles of the paid stuff.
Yeah.
And
And then they
big
all
increase.
also-
So all of the higher paid staff did not get any, no. If you were making over like $40,000 a year, you did not get a salary, or at least in my division, you didn't get a salary raise at all.
Sure.
Because they needed to use that amount of money they have for the CPI, then gets divvied out. Some people get less, some people get more, depending on your performance reviews. So some people might only get 1.2%, and other people might get 6%, depending on so they used it all to balance out. So you guys don't do it that way. You don't like not give people cost of living increase in order to make money for people who did a better job. But that's why it's like every company has different. And I might even change the rules here.
And we don't have 9,000 employees.
Right.
This is a much more manageable amount, and it allows a lot more discretion, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, well, didn't some of those changes at Cornell also get made because of disparities between what men and women were being paid too? So I know we
Not
had a
that I-
problem. I know we had a problem here with that, and said some suggested rates, and we had to adjust it one year.
Not to my knowledge.
So
That
So-
would have been probably more on the faculty side anyway, which I would never see.
So I guess the reason we did the retroactive is obviously some of them were very low. We have a few that were just barely over what is considered the Tompkins County living wage, which I know is fraught with issues, but
But they were all above it.
they were all, no, there
No.
were, they were right at it,
There
or
was
there's one
There was
below
one
it.
Below it.
There's one below it, and then there's some that are just at it. It has been here a number of years.
Okay.
So trying to make the case of, so those need to be corrected.
They were like a penny above or something.
Yeah, so that's why some of the retroactive,
And are these positions part-time?
no, they're all full-time. I know that the few that are part-time, which is really, one code, fire inspector code.
All right, but if it's
Yeah,
like
well,
a
the
rec
one-
assistant job, summer job.
Yeah, and those we didn't put in here.
Okay.
These are all.
No,
full-time.
this was a regular.
Yeah,
Okay.
like,
yeah, and one of the code though is they intentionally don't want to be makes above a certain amount because
That was Bill Knickerbocker.
that's Bill, and he's actually not here anymore.
Right,
Yeah.
so now we have somebody that's actually working more.
Yeah.
So I did want to say, Spring, thank you for the research. I made a lot of phone calls yesterday to other municipalities. I searched Indeed, Bureau of Labor Statistics. I fought with an AI tool. That's painful. And I had a really hard time finding more information, and a lot of towns similar size, looking at total number of expenditures, do not actually have this. Ithaca and Lansing are the only ones I found. The only other ones that do is because they have a union, and so there's a contract that sets it out. And some of them, one of them sent that to me, and they still didn't have a hiring rate. They sent me their contract, but it didn't show a hiring rate. So it's very hard to compare. And so when I was looking at your data, and even some of the ones I did find that were looking at government employees, I couldn't get it to tell me, was it looking at just New York State? Was it looking at the whole country? And so, because I found stuff all over the place.
Yeah, what I was pulling was like
it said it was regional, and then you can see that there's like these huge swings if you go to San
Yeah.
Francisco and things like
Yeah,
that.
so
but-
it's challenging because if you even say New York State, you have a city influence. I actually talked to somebody in Ulster County and they're like, well, our salaries are affected by New York City, Dutchess
Mm,
County, the Hudson Valley area, so that inflates them some. So it's very, I talked to,
Like median rate is helpful because it
Right.
pulls out the tiny places and it also pulls out the big
right, the
places.
challenge is if it's a median rate, is it a median rate that's of somebody who's been there a number of years, or is it a median rate of a starting? So that's where it gets challenging, and like Jason said, I actually did the numbers. If, let's just pretend everything was as is and put in the health insurance rate, the tax levy amount, the amount we would need for property taxes actually went down by 30,000. So I'm not saying like that's the reason, but at least we are not increasing the tax levy because of these salary changes.
Well, we would if
That's
we
not
went with
a
all of
metric
them.
we can work with. That's nonsensical to me.
Why is
Because-
that nonsensical to you? Can you, I just.
Because it's saying that, we're gonna spend this money kind of recklessly here, but the overall rate's gonna go down, therefore it's okay. That's why.
Okay,
That
so,
doesn't make sense.
so my next question is if you wanted to wait and do this next year, we're not gonna have that offset
Mhm.
from health insurance changes to offset that cost. So we're gonna have a big jump next year,
Right.
is my concern. And so we're gonna be back in the same conversation again.
It would make
No.
sense if you want.
It will,
That's
because
assuming we have this big jump next year, and I
No,
don't
we
think we're
won't
going
have this
to.
big jump next year. Okay, wait a minute. We won't have it if we don't do it this year. If we don't do it next year, if we do it next year, we're going to be dealing with a big jump again. Because if we don't do it now, we're just putting it off for another year.
So what if we said this? What if, I'm just spitballing for a minute, okay? Budget. Done budgeting. I don't, that's right, but I've done budget. So what if we said, all right, we're gonna put in the 3.5% CPI across the board, okay? As if we didn't have the savings from the insurance. We save ourselves $30,000 from the insurance, right? Was that what it was?
No, insurance is more than that, but I'm saying it netted.
Okay,
Okay,
so
it
let's,
netted
I think it was
30.
like 80,000. Let's say we got an $80,000 savings
Mhm.
from the insurance. We then take that savings, not more than that, and we identify where we need to level set. So we use some of that savings to get the salaries that are below cost of living to where they're supposed to be. And then we look at the other places where it is not appropriate, like things may be very catawamp, to try to level set by using the cost savings there. That way, are you following my logic?
Yeah, but the problem is what we do in this regard will happen every year. Those,
what I'm
those,
saying is
let me
that-
finish. Those increases will be reoccurring in perpetuity. So every change we make this year, we'll have to repeat next year, and the same
Why?
increase, because there'll be a new budget line, there'll be a new expense. So, we could say, well, it's only gonna cost us 80,000 this year. Well, it's gonna cost us 80,000 next year too. It's 80,000 more than we would have been paying.
Correct, but we've also made the insurance reduction. So that gives us a starting point then to then start using the step system afterwards. Or not, and it just cost of living increase after that. I'm just trying to say, if there are places where we are inappropriately, unfairly paying people too low for some reason, we could justify using the insurance cost savings to right size where we're out of whack.
Tell me where, yeah, I mean, if there's an employee here who felt they were unfairly being paid, and I'm looking at probably the largest gap here. She is keeping that a big secret.
No, I'm saying if you start with the people are below cost of living.
If
My
they're here, it's not a
secretary
secret.
feels that way. My secretary feels that way right now, and also part of it's because of the new hire we did for Dryden Fiber, where she's doing a lot of that work. She's doing a lot of that work. So, and I know you keep saying she's made full-time, but that's not, that's just more hours to make more money. It's not the rate of being paid to do,
Per hour.
right? And that's what people were talking about.
Yeah,
Is
but
the rate
it's,
per hour, not the total amount of hours you're permitted to work to make whatever you're gonna make. And we budgeted full-time in the event she was actually able to work full-time with the flexibility of being able to deal with her young kid's life. Because
I guess I'm
that's,
not following you. Is she working more hours or not?
oh, we're gonna look
So
at it.
Been
you're
working
saying-
full-time for 2 years.
So what I'm
Okay,
hearing
so
is-
she's doing more work
I'm hearing.
for the new
But
obligation.
it's about,
that we
but
have.
it's about the what she's doing at the hour, at the rate we're paying her at.
So I'm
She's
sure the
really,
complexity of the work is higher than when she was initially hired, and we
Yep.
have not balanced, and we've hired other people at the same level of complexity at a higher hourly rate.
yep,
I would
So,
advise that the one new hire for driving fiber had accounting knowledge.
right.
That's why he was
That's-
hired at a higher rate.
but what
Yeah.
is the current, what's the work that they're doing? If the work that they're doing is comparable,
It's all
Then the
accounting.
hourly rate
The
should be
job
comparable.
description's different.
Yeah, job description is different. The job requirements for that position are different.
Okay,
So, but it's hard to, staff, it's hard for staff to understand that sometimes.
oh, I know.
And so I'm not gonna, there's valid points to each of those. I can see one side, and I can see her side, so I have to be careful about how
No
I,
matter what you do, no one's gonna be happy.
yes, that's.
If you find something that everyone's unhappy with, you've succeeded.
And you'll never find somebody who says I'm overpaid. You just won't. I don't think I've ever had an employee.
Publicly,
or-
that would be an unwise
Yeah.
thing to say.
Yeah.
So, but if we have somebody who we've changed the nature of their work and not properly updated their job description, which is what it sounds like Jason is saying, then that sounds like something that needs to be
Well, that-
addressed.
Job description is kind of a catch-all because it's like, well, who's gonna do what? I don't know. Have Cassie do it.
That's all the admin.
Have the
system.
secretary. It's been like that forever. It's
Yeah,
been like that when it was the person before her and the person before her.
not a
person
unique
before her.
scenario.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty common, and again, but you look at what's the requirements for the job and so on. So it's all of those pieces, but I think we get back to if we implement the step system, it sounds like the question is the retroactive. My concern is you do one and not another, it becomes number one, challenging for staff because it's not clear. Well, am I getting a raise this year? I don't know. Are you getting a raise this year? Well, I think I am, and I'm getting a big one. And it becomes kind of a talking point. And then number two, it's challenging to track those to make sure we're paying staff correctly. And then let's say next year, we're like, okay, are we gonna correct anybody else? Well, who did we correct last year and what are we doing? So which is why I'm saying, could we just do once and done this year and move forward? And then have consistent CPI increases after this.
So we all agreed on the methodology around the step system made sense.
Right.
The challenge here is some of these percentage increases are so much. So I don't know if there's value in going through and saying, okay, here are the lines where they're, below cost of living or a penny above. Does that need to be addressed? But the percentage rates are just so shocking.
Right, what's the
It's-
dollar amount on some of them though?
I know, but I think maybe instead of just saying, yeah, we'll go with all of these, maybe we really need to take a look line by line and
Yeah.
see, does this make sense?
Yeah, individual, it's fine to look at, but like some of them, it's like, percentage wise might be high, but the dollar amount might
I
not.
understand that. So just
So-
totally with you there.
Like, here's one that's 12%, but it's only like $5,000.
Well, that's not only.
But we're still going off the hiring rate. And I guess that's, to me, we haven't established that as a legitimate metric, the proposed hourly rate.
I think we need to look at, the department's heads haven't even seen it, so I think they need to weigh in.
Well, again, I wanted to
right.
reassure
Right.
with the board before I released it too far.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're running into how do we budget? And so I'd be reasonable about that.
Mhm.
Because also the more hands you get in the pot, the messier it can get sometimes.
Yeah.
So
I mean-
that's just why I did not release it to any department heads.
Yep.
For that concern.
Just the 5 of us, it's messy enough,
Well, yeah.
and Leo's not here. But, you know, and so that's the first thing, if we're gonna try and look at these and proposed annual salaries, or they're still correlated to the proposed hourly rate, which I don't think there's acceptance of with right now.
So why don't we go through some of the lines and see if we can't close, I'm trying to open up.
So can I just make sure, are we looking at the pay scale with setting the hiring rate, or are we looking at the, what the new rates would become for that staff member, depending on where they fall in the step system? I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right word.
I think the higher rate is more objective.
I don't know, I think that when you're seeing 28% increases, it's a flag. And I'm not saying, you know. Again, we need to pay people fairly, but we also have to be fair to the taxpayers.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a red flag. We just can't do that. I mean, I taught a case study today, and the whole class was like, wow, she's requesting an 8% salary increase. And everyone in, you know, the class, 46 students were like, nobody gets an 8% salary increase. And here we are talking about 23, 28, 29. I mean, I don't know. We seem really detached with these numbers.
You look at some of these too, I mean, some of these people are gonna be retiring in the next couple of years. So even though they're gonna be like at step 5, which is like, you know, the 30%. When they retire, you're gonna replace them with somebody who's at step 1.
You don't
So
know
you're
that.
getting that money back.
You absolutely don't know that. You're setting the salary for the job. You're not setting the salary for the person. And that, I think that's maybe where we're getting stuck. The salary needs to be about what the job description is and what the role is.
Which is why we have a higher rate.
Yes.
That's what it's set for. So we're
Right.
setting it for the job.
So does that higher rate mean 0 experience?
It can mean either zero, it's gonna depend
They
on the
meet the
civil
minimum
service.
requirements.
Yeah, it's gonna depend on the civil service job description. Like, some of them require 4 years of experience already to start. Some of them require none. Some of them require, you know, a variety. The guidelines we'll need to set up is if we have someone coming from a neighboring town that's moving to Dryden or something along those lines, then we need to set up some guidelines on how we are going to account for their years of knowledge in the other job. And even internally, if we have someone that changes jobs internally, how we are going to account for that. But it's a whole nother, it's not what this, that's a piece that we still have to do as
Yeah.
part of continuing this process.
Yeah, there's no point doing that without knowing.
Like overall, the average total proposal was a total increase of 15%.
I say we just add these to the budget. And see what happens during public comment.
I know, but our job is to, our very
I don't
hard
vote for that
is to be the fiscal responsibility for the town budget. That's the core function of our role. So, and I've done enough budgets to know that 15% jump it's significant unless you're gonna cut your budget somewhere else by 15% and then be able to sustain that budget cut someplace else. And I don't see anywhere where we're gonna be cutting that much of a percentage from other things. I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just trying to be this is the challenge, right? This is where people management is so hard, because what we want to do and what we can afford to do is not always necessarily aligned. We have to be fair. To me, that's the main thing. So like the living wage thing is critical. So
Since there is so much. I don't see how any of these are ever going to correct until we hire new people.
Right.
Which could be a year from now or 10 years from now. So my question to the board is if you don't, I know we like the pay schedule, but we have to find a way to follow it.
Mhm.
We can't have some staff in it and some staff out of it. We need to be consistent across the pay schedule.
Or we just make it really simple. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not.
Yeah, you're fine.
arguing.
I'm doing the same thing, so.
We do a level set to make sure that no one's being unfairly paid. Everyone else who is fairly paid or above, which gets 3.5%. And then we lock down that we're not gonna do, everyone's gonna get the standard CPI forever going forward unless there's like a budget, a bonus or something like Jason was talking about.
What's the dollar amount we're looking at with the health insurance and the?
85,000.
Well, when you net it out between. No, that's the wrong statement. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull my notes.
The A fund changed by. What was it original? So the A fund insurance decreased by $60,000, 65,000. The B fund decreased by 25, I believe, 25,000.
That was 20. I thought it total 85.
Well, there's a few that fall in different places. So I did the new numbers today, calculations today.
Okay.
And so the B fund changed by 25,000 and the A fund, and that's with some I always round a little bit because of staff changing and so on. The B fund rounded by, you could say 60,000, just to make A funds changed by 60. So that's the 85,000 for the
Okay.
health insurance.
60.
So we're down to 60?
No, that's, well, both, I'm using A and B together because
Right.
that's all of these staff are on A and B.
Okay, so we're down to 60.
No, there's 60 plus the 20.
Okay, so
60
80.
plus the 25 and B, so that's gonna be 85,000.
Yeah, 85.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying, I'm matching up with you, girl.
You know,
I'll donate my salary. There's 10,000 right there.
it doesn't work that way for long-term budgeting.
No, it doesn't. No, we can't, and we have to find that equilibrium.
Right, it just doesn't work that way for long-term budgeting because, you know, whatever you're doing now is gonna affect eternity. So, you know, if you wanna treat everyone like union employees and say, we're gonna always do a raise of X%, which could be a flexible one if you're going by cost of living.
Well, we do that with our union employees.
Right, I'm saying if you want to treat everyone else like union, and then the only other things they would get would be bonuses. That
Right.
would be. Which there are major downsides to doing that,
Yeah,
having managed many union staff. There's a major downside to that. Because then people feel like it doesn't matter how hard I work. And you get the same complaining that, well, they're gonna get the same raise I'm getting and they're slacking and making too many phone calls. And doing this, that, and the other thing, so. I guess the question right now, straight up, is what's. You guys went into this to try to make the salaries more competitive. For. Future hires and to keep people from leaving, is that the problem you're trying to solve?
we did both. There's kind of a two-pronged plan. Christina, correct me. Yes, to set the new hire schedule, the new hire rate. So it alleviates the issue of department heads setting rates
Willy-nilly.
willy-nilly, and then at the same time having to come to the town board and have long discussions.
Okay.
The second thing was, it's very clearly seen, or can be seen when you look at how much some of our staff are being paid compared to either similar jobs in other municipalities or private jobs. I didn't look at a lot of private jobs because ours is so unique. So we are trying to correct some of those to,
You pay better than private jobs, you do.
not always. There's some that are a little different. So that's where it gets challenging. So we have really good benefits, which is where I kind of go with that. So there was a two-pronged on that. It is also trying to alleviate the town boards from having
Yeah.
so
go
much
through
budget
this, yeah.
discussion every year and have this always be, I don't wanna say it, to be the challenge that it is.
Yeah.
You know, by setting the pay scale, we're basically ensuring future budgets increase at a steady rate of CPI. So that was the goal, was to alleviate some of the pressure and give so the staff know what's happening. And there's no more of this, well, what and why, and town board know what I do, and et cetera. It's, nope, here it is, and it's very clear.
Yep.
So that was the goal, the original goal, which is why what we started with.
And it also helps them budget in the future.
It's gonna help with the budgeting for the future.
Yeah.
Again, because you won't have to go through this every year.
Yeah, I would say, okay, this person's gonna be making this much in 2 years, so I got this much money to work with.
I mean, the principles are fine, I get it, and I think and for new hires, it does make it easier, does put more pressure on getting this hourly, starting rate accurate, and I'm not convinced we've done that. I'm just, and for reasons we've already heard tonight. And then applying it retroactively in a way that creates these wild swings, I think is another problem I'm not hearing a solution to.
So
And
where could we adjust this? So, because I understand what you're saying about the retroactive thing. Is where we're trying to plug in a starting salary and then give people all these years additional jumps over that.
and
right?
act like
Is
it's
that-
been there all along.
So. If we go. What's the way to address that? Is the way to address, to me, the way to address that would be. You put your starting salaries in, oh shoot, I'm trying to do it in my head. But yeah, seeing these, it's hard when you've got like 20-some% jumps. Does it really mean that their current salary is not appropriate? I guess that's the question.
So when we did the
Yeah.
the comparison we were able to do with equivalent. So the
Alright.
comparison we did was really on higher rates. We were
Mhm.
trying because you can't compare somebody in another municipality doing the same job. But how long, you can't compare like, how much are they earning now and how much am I earning now in the same job title? Well, we don't know how long that person's done in the other municipality to have, like, have they gotten 10 years in and they're gonna have all that experience level in compared to a 5-year. So I just like, that's
But you're still not gonna pay them 30% more because they've been here longer.
not necessarily, but at the same time, is it possible? I mean, like, if we have somebody that's been here that long and their salary has just gone up so slightly that it's not kept up with certain, factors, like, how do we correct that? I mean, I've only been here 5 years, so I can't say what's happened in the past. Did it just get hired at a really low rate? I don't know.
So to me, we just,
Can I just address that though? But because since I've been here, no one's seen a salary increase of less than 5%, at least in the last 5 years. And before that, I don't know what happened. I don't remember. I've got the notes somewhere, but we've never given a situation where salaries don't keep up with expenses. At a minimum, it's cost of living, but we've been doing cost of living plus 3% for the last few years. And, so if somebody's saying the salary hasn't kept up, I don't think that.
Okay, well, then that's, I guess, yeah, that's fine. I'm not gonna argue with that. I just feel like I don't feel like it, the wrong word. There are staff that, yes, they've not been here a long time, and so well, that's a chapter. No, just keep going. I'm gonna stop talking.
it's not easy.
No, it's fine. I'm not
I think
gonna,
it's just.
I feel bad because you're on the hot seat.
no, it's fine. I just, sometimes I can't get the words out as quickly, so I better just to stop and listen.
Well, help me understand this. So I've got this sheet here and it says proposed new hire rate.
Yep.
And these are the numbers that I think you're proposing that we use, now, they don't seem reflected on this sheet.
Okay, so that proposed new higher rate, that is comparing the higher rates only, not compared to how long someone's been here. So that sheet is showing for the same job title in 2 other municipalities that we could get higher rates for, we compared them. So if you look at those, and if you flip that sheet over, I did a graph just so it's easy.
Yeah, I don't need that, I'm trying to see where these
Yeah.
numbers do not appear on
No,
this sheet
they
at
don't-
all.
They don't appear there because all of our stat, because we're doing the what we're calling the retroactive correction is we're taking the higher rate and then saying they would be at a step 2 or a step 3, and so their rate would be this new rate. And that's where you're seeing the 30, 28%, which is the retroactive change. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I think to me that's the challenge because I just, I don't think there's that big a difference typically between a higher rate. I mean, in my experience, higher rates versus someone in that role are not that big a swing. It's like someone's been there for 20 years, they might be making an extra like 5% more than somebody who's brought in new, but the job is the job. So you don't end up with typically like a 30% swing. Otherwise, that's not really fair, right? To the person who got brought in, they're doing the same job. So I guess to me, that's where the challenge is.
Okay.
Because I've been in that position.
Well, so the person being brought in doing the same job as someone who's been there.
30 years. They could be sitting next to each other doing the exact
Yeah.
same job. Is it really appropriate to pay the person who's been there 30 years an extra 25 or 30% more than the
Well,
person they're
you're
sitting next to?
getting 20 years of experience on
Same
that
work.
too.
Same job.
It's the same
But
job.
they could be,
Still not a 30% difference in pay, is what I'm saying. I can see it if it was a 5 or 10% difference.
But that person started way
30%
too low.
but you're not freezing somebody at like, that's why like the even in the union agreements, they hit a point
Mhm.
where it's like they go up like $500.
Yeah.
I know, but that's still not a 30% difference in pay.
Well, it could be if you're talking comparing a new hire is getting paid brought in at like $18 an hour, and then somebody's getting, you know, 32
It's
an
not
hour.
that big a swing for the same job.
It would be, yeah, if they come in CDL, say someone comes in new hire, fresh, some whatever.
It's a 500 difference a year. It's not a 500 difference a month.
I know, I'm not.
I'm
I'm
just
just
saying.
saying, we have people now who've been here close to 30 years. They're getting like what it's like 30.
The top, I mean, in the CDL highway department in the union, well, preface all of that, are probably about $35 an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
But a new
But
hire,
a
they would come in at 18 with the
A
same.
new
requirements.
hire and union is what come in at $28.
Right.
So it is a big swing. They might be doing the same job, but the 30-year veteran is getting a
Yeah.
higher rate.
And the
should.
union.
And what you're doing is rewarding someone
Yeah.
for sticking around.
You know, and there's after they pass, I know we just went through that, and now the unions are complaining that it's not fair, and they want so it's tricky. No one's ever happy.
No, but
I mean, if we're gonna talk about people's current jobs, I mean, I work with people who have the same job description. Some are making $32 an hour and somebody who just got hired are making $18 an hour.
Is that right?
Exact same job.
And is that right?
I feel so because the person's been there for 15 years.
But that doesn't mean that they have.
He's better at it than the one who's just got hired.
That's not always true. It's not always true.
Well, that's where the performance, and if they weren't doing a good job, we would like to think that it would be
we're gonna
corrected.
we're gonna take that out here.
No, if they're not doing a good job, they need to be corrected. So they are doing what they should be doing at the year 2, at year 3. People can't, you shouldn't just be allowed to just do a job and do it not well. So if that's happening here, that's up to the supervisor to make sure that person gets up to speed. Or encourage them to find another job like we do.
I'm just saying.
But
Me
this
too.
schedule doesn't do any of that. I mean, there's no performance review, there's no incentive to
Well,
do a better job of.
Performance reviews are separate from the pay
Yeah,
scale bit.
Yeah, there's.
I know I know, and that's the problem that I'm trying to bring up here, that the performance review and the pay scale, I think work better when they're, complementary. You review, you get your cost of living and, well, the whole scheme I've talked about previously, that I think is a better way to do this.
We do the bonuses, everybody gets the same raise every 6 months, but certain people are
Yeah.
picked out to get a $500 raise or $1.
What are we talking about? Where?
No, just talking, you guys are talking about your current job, so I'm talking about my current job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody gets the same raise, except the people who have a better performance in those 6 months get a $500 bonus.
A bonus, but
Yeah.
that's not salary.
No, and thank goodness it isn't. I mean,
Right.
it's just a
that,
bonus.
that to me, I don't know.
That's how you reward
Didn't we
people.
determine you can't do that in
You can't,
municipal government?
Yeah, but bonuses are a little more challenging, and I don't believe we can,
they call them something else. They
Yeah.
call them
they,
I can look it up. There's a term for it.
there's a stipend, but
State
there's
employees.
but that's separate if you're doing extra work. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is like they call it something else, but it's basically a bonus.
See,
Yeah,
that would
just
have been,
work
I
around.
guess, my preference to have, performance base, you do your performance review, you do your COLA, assuming everything was a good year, and then a 1 to 3% 1 year bonus. And then, the salary then goes up 3.3% that year, and the bonus gets taken, but the next year it's 3.3% higher, not with the bonus. And that way you're not stacking up this, building bonuses on top of bonuses.
28% difference. Yeah.
And to me, that makes, keeps it fair, and it does keep the supervisor involved, and it keeps the performance review involved. I don't see how that incentive's gone in this. And that's, to
Well,
me,
unless you're figuring out we'll just for discussion's sake call it the bonus for hitting that. We called it in the chart we've been using in the performance reviews of 5. That's what we've been. That's how people would get their extra, like 1 or 2% on top of the COLA right now.
right, but
Right,
how does
but-
that
but-
show up in this new step system?
You're still doing the review because you have to.
I know.
And when someone gets a 5, then on top of whatever the step would give them, you'd add the extra as a
okay, so that.
bonus or
is not
something.
included.
That's
It's not on there. It's not on there. No,
Because then
you'd
everybody
have
else
to.
gets it.
And what's the 5 mean? That's just.
You're amazing.
That's whatever
Yeah.
whatever you wrote. You
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're the one who put the form together. It's like,
Well, that was tied to CPI plus
well, CPI plus whatever the
up
percent.
to 5%.
It was 1% for each above,
Yeah.
so it could be a max of 3% was what it was.
So it'd be CPI plus 3 as the top.
And that
And-
system is there, been using that system. The challenge is that it's always, we have not had any that have ranked below excellent. So
Right.
everybody's always getting 5, 6, whatever CPI plus that 3% over the past 3 years since.
Right, and that's why you've been saying what you're saying, because no one's saying, oh, they're not doing exceptional work.
Everyone's above average.
Yep. And that's
Well-
what happens, and if you're trying to avoid that kind of cumulative, 5% raise bid every year, the only thing it's gonna do is something like this. And then what I think it's missing from it that you're right about is like if for someone who is doing some exceptional work, then you gotta figure out a way to reward
build
that, but.
Or a little, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I also think if had used a little more scrutiny in the review process, we wouldn't be doing max increases every year.
Well,
And from what
I
I'm
mean,
hearing-
to be able to do all respect, like the only person who's here a lot compared to on the board. I mean, and I'm not even here a lot compared to it's me. Like no one else is, I mean, no one else comes here regularly to check in with people. See what they're doing. That's just not what happens. So you're relying on the department heads to do that.
Yeah, it's not our
So
job.
so
It's
so
not
to
our job.
Right,
be
so
here all
then,
the
so it's
time.
also then you're gonna have to accept what they give you as far as their reviews.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And I.
So then
maybe
complaining
it's-
about the 5% year raises perpetually every year, like what's the point if you're gonna be accepting what the department heads are doing?
Yeah, this is a normal problem.
That's where I'm
right?
going
This
with
is a normal
this.
Problem.
That we have to empower our department heads to be more judicious in how they award the points.
Right, or we're.
That was
or
always the point.
treating it like more like a union schedule.
Everybody
So-
gets 6% every year.
So, at the same, so did you learn anything today that changed any of your
I cannot,
numbers?
yeah, I couldn't find good numbers to compare to, and I couldn't find what I felt was. At first I thought I found one, and then I discovered, no, this is looking at national numbers, not regional numbers. So, no, unfortunately, I am, I guess here's the thoughts I have, is either one of two things, either we change a few staff this year to bring it closer, at least get it reasonably above Tompkins County living wage, do everybody else at 3.5%. One suggestion. And then the personnel committee and I go back and go, okay, we're gonna reach out to every single town we can find that has a pay schedule, like similar, that we can use. Because like I said, I called at least 10 towns yesterday and none of them had one. And then but then we're still looking at next year doing the same process, dealing with setting new hiring rates, and how do we not correct, but how do we make sure that our current staff is being paid fairly compared to what we would hire somebody at? So that,
Yeah.
those are the couple things I can see. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm probably gonna get blown out of the water, but, the executive director does an amazing job. I have no qualms about that. But my concern is if you're willing to give that position a large bump, how is that comparable then to your rest of your staff? And now, I'm not saying, I understand that, but at the same time, we need, and it's different buckets of money. I get that.
Well, it's not the buckets of money part, it's
Right.
the job.
It's the job. And at the same time, though, that you have other staff that are doing, that are not getting that. So I just want to make sure we
Well,
say that out loud.
Can I answer
Because
the question?
when I finish,
Yeah.
1 second. So be careful what you put out there, because it will get publicized and it will be complained and not looked on favorably.
Yep.
As to the board going, well, what are they doing? That's what, so I just want to say that out loud, and then you guys can decide how you want to handle it.
The numbers I pulled up were just because you're seeing what I pulled off
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a proposal.
No.
It's just, I'm just showing how the
Yeah.
numbers from Indeed compared with the other calculations, and that you have
Yeah.
a lot of wonkiness.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I don't think I don't even think that's what we're worried about tonight. It's
Well, I guess I asked the question because I'm working on the Dragon Fiber budget and I needed to know what to put in it. And so that's when he told me that there's gonna be an adjustment. I'm like, because I don't have direction yet from the board, so I can't assume anything, but at the same time, I have to say that please be considerate of all the staff. So Dan, go ahead.
No, the point, and I'm just repeating what I said earlier, if a job changes and the responsibilities change significantly, we have to take that into account. I made that comment earlier because I feel like this system removes some of our discretion in that regard. But with regards to Dryden Fiber, the job has changed, and we either recognize that, or we risk, burning out the person we hired, or losing the person we hired, because the responsibilities no longer meet what the job description was that this person signed up for.
Okay.
Now, a position like highway superintendent, that job has not changed.
no,
And
it
so
has
It
changed.
has changed.
we should be respectful of that, because it's
Tell
added
me.
in supporting Dryden Fiber, it's added in supporting the water systems, it's added in.
Why is water systems new?
We take in.
Yellow
on
Barn.
Yellow Barn, so there's things that have been added. So just, I wanna make sure that we're respectful and honest about the things that have been added.
And there's there's highway DPW people like in Ithaca, for instance, who don't manage a water sewer system.
And we only recommended 9% when he requested 16%.
Right.
So this
So-
process keeps that from happening again too.
I'm just saying, things have changed, it sounds like Jason's admin has changed. Taking
Yeah.
on, so it's not just David, it sounds like there's other people, we just have to, if we have to be consistent. If we recognize anyone's positions change, that we're
Oh, yeah, well,
consistently
I-
looking at how others may have changed it.
That's the point I'm trying to
Keep
make.
mankind
If-
first.
If there is a big change to a salary, it has to be justified by change in responsibility of significance.
Yeah.
That's the thing that then. David's bringing up, and he's right, it's gone from a very small project with 30 customers to. A project that's now gonna reach thousands
Yeah.
by the end of next year.
That's why when I looked it up, I came up with a 75% salary swing. So.
But he also knows, and I've explained this to him, we're in the public sector. And it's a different ballgame, so we cannot compete with what Spectrum would pay.
We are not a for-profit organization.
But he likes our mission, so people work for the government for different reasons. There's public sector ethics, so comparing us to the private sector is, misses the point in many ways.
So how do we wanna go forward? Do you want to change some? Not all, and we'll table this step implementation until 2027.
I'd rather do it all.
We can change many of these. I think they have to be within a 6% salary increase. I cannot fathom these multiple, these double-digit salary increases. Unless it can be justified by this job change significantly. And for each one, we're gonna have to see how, but we're gonna have some sort of explanation. If it's going beyond 6%, it's gotta have an explanation of why the job description changed. Because this person took the job knowing what the job description was. And 6% and it's been 6% for the last few years, is a pretty good raise.
Or we have to level set because they're like below living wage, if there's, I don't know if it's that big of a swing. But I
Yeah,
think-
things like that, I mean, it shouldn't
I
even be a
think that
discussion.
would be part of the explanation. Where the salary was simply set too low.
Or before the living wage was established as it is, and
Exactly.
we all agree that that's an acceptable
Yeah.
metric.
So,
What if you said that all staff that are currently 2025 paid, let's round the number, I think it's 24.92, 24 something,
2482.
82. What if you said anybody that's below
25.
$25, those need a better correction than just 6%? Because again, percent on a smaller salary is less than percent on a larger salary.
You
So,
bring them all to
Yes,
$25.
I don't think then some of them are getting at such a minor raise. Like one of them's would go from 24.85 to $25. That's 15 cents in a car.
Yeah,
So
that's not,
that's not a fair. That's not a good starting point. I'm saying what's definitely changed, the ones that are below $25. What we change them to needs to be the conversation. That's my suggestion.
I think that's very fair.
So these hiring rates are what you're talking about right now, the ones that are
Yeah,
below 25.
That's not hiring rates, that's their
Or
current.
this is the current hourly rates, is
rates.
what I meant to say.
Yes, that is, yes.
which sheet is that one?
That is on I'm not sure what I called it, Jason.
Which one are you looking for? The one with the steps or the one
No,
that
the
has
one
the,
with the hourly rates to the proposed salaries,
that's
which everybody.
proposed total,
Yeah, proposed, is that what I called it?
Yeah.
Okay.
proposed total personnel.
Okay.
So let's just go from the top down and just so we can pick them all out easily. So the first one's gonna be the deputy town clerk. I label it senior, it's just someone who's been here longer. Is at 24.92. The someone that's been here 3 years, 3 years. You know, what do we want to correct that one as a suggestion to?
So the county, the minimum wage, right, I mean, the living wage is 24.82 for
Yes.
2025.
We're starting the other deputy town clerk at 26. So it has to be more than that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's if we use our step. And I guess right now I feel like we need to just. We might need to look at our step system. Because there seems to be concerns about it, so.
Well,
So we're starting at a baseline that no one should be making less than 25 hours an hour.
That's just my suggestion. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to pull
Yeah.
a number that's round and easy to start with, so that's what I was going.
I can go along with that, sure. But if we raise one person who's, let's say $1.20 below 25, and somebody's right at 25.
But see, then everybody else could be just CPI plus their performance.
Okay, so
That's-
that moves it up, okay.
So that's my suggestion to see if that would help move this conversation to an
Okay.
But the
agreement.
people who are close to the 25 by like a couple of pennies, I mean, I would do. I mean, I think
that's why they didn't like my saying, just.
just pop it at 25 and then just do CPI plus the whatever. Because just start them at 25 then.
Okay,
So we're talking about the planning administrative assistant and the deputy town clerk being paid the same thing, $25.
okay. Let me just make sure.
Looking at if we look at hourly rate, not total.
Yeah, I'm looking at just hourly.
Yeah, look at the
rate.
hourly
Only
rates.
35 hours a week.
Right, so I'm looking at just hourly rates, is all I'm looking at. Because it gets everybody back to the same base point is why I use that. So. Are you suggesting that we just bump everybody that's below it, which there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions. Below $25 an hour, we bump them all to 25 plus CPI and the performance review, is that what you're suggesting? I just wanna make sure I have it right down.
I think what I heard Jason just say, just pick a number, if they're more than $1 below 25, just they go up to 25. If they're less than $1 of 25, they get CPI.
I was saying like there's
Does that make sense?
No, I did not.
no, what I'm saying is like there are 1, 2, 3, looks like 3 people who are literally just a couple of pennies below 25.
Like 24.92.
24.92,
So
24.85, 24.92. So what I'm saying, like for those 3, start at 25 and then do the CPI what plus, because then there's other people who are a couple of dollars, like more than $1 below. You're gonna bring them up to 25 anyway, and then that would be, and that if you're hung up on the percentages, those are gonna be probably look like a bigger percentage
Yeah,
anyway.
So
So if they've been here 3 years, they're still gonna start at 25, or they go up to the step that they would have been at?
We're not using the step now because it's gonna be all over the place. We're gonna have to refigure that whole process.
everyone's brains exploded.
So we really need to just have numbers for the budget. That,
I mean, I think it's in the end the step system's the way to do it. but-
yeah, I still think we need to do it, but it seems like from everything that's being discussed that. We don't have a consensus reasonable agreement.
We
Like,
need more
we're always gonna
time to
disagree,
get the
we're
data.
always gonna disagree, that's a fact. But there's not enough of a that's how I'm reading it right now, and so I guess my feeling is how can we move this forward without killing our brains tonight? And to move forward with our deadlines. So for the 6 positions that are currently below $25, the suggestion is to move all of them to $25 an hour plus CPI and their performance review.
Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point of the performance review?
Okay.
So
The
CPI
writing,
plus
the
three.
writing, the writing, yeah, the writing, the salary to the living wage bit should be separate from the performance review stuff. It's not.
How do we even know what the performance reviews were? Because people,
I have them. I can show you back pages. I try not to. I try
No,
to perfect
that's
each
that-
of them. Yeah,
you answered the question.
yes,
that's
I
okay.
have them all. They're in their personnel.
We have them.
per-
Okay.
personnel files. So they get filed back with me.
So,
So hypothetical employee then, say they were making $23 an hour.
Yep.
We're gonna increase that to 25, so that's a,
Mm.
right there, an 8% increase. My math right?
but we're bringing them, that's because we're bringing.
And
them
then on
in.
top of that, we're gonna give them another 6% increase.
So if we do 3.5 for CPI and they have the highest level of excellence, it would be a 6.5% increase because it's a percent.
You're giving a 3%, sorry.
So I'm sorry, let me stop and think that. No, it's 2. It's 2. I had the wrong year. 3 has been a common number.
It's 2.
3.5% plus 2, so it'd be 5.5%.
Okay, and can we use the right CPI?
Dan, we're off by a point percentage.
So let's
It
just,
is
Yeah.
going to be so minor. Can we keep it even numbers and 3.5?
I would say we use 3.5.
Because
versus what, 3.4,
I
It's 3.3, but
3.3?
I-
who's counting?
well, that's what I'm saying, like.
Well, when people get their,
Use the other method, we don't have to worry about it this year.
that's true
Use what?
because they're not
If you
even
use
doing
the
it.
other method, we don't have to worry about CPI this year.
So,
Exactly.
Anyway, so we're talking about 5.5 on top of a 8% increase.
For certain ones, other ones that are only gonna go up 15 cents to $25 are not gonna see that big of an increase. But the ones that are lower should see a bigger increase because their pay
Right,
rate is.
I just wanna make sure we're on the same page with what we're doing here.
yes, we're gonna move all of those that are below $25 to $25
Yeah, and I'm just.
as a level set.
Plus 5.5%.
If their performance
Okay.
review reached it.
Alright,
If it didn't, then it'll be 4.5. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go, I'll look at each of those individually. And then all remaining staff. Do you want to leave them all at their performance review plus CPI?
So some of the budget requests were like 10, 12.
Yeah.
The court clerks was like, what, that was like 7,
The court clerks were 5, the justices were 10.
yeah.
And be careful of the court clerks you have to watch because there was an employee change. So there's certain ones, like when I do the calculation, I will calculate off of current pay rates. And so you can't always compare the current 2025 because there was
Right, well,
adjustments.
one of those is someone who's below the 25 anyway,
Right,
so.
right. So just keep that in mind, but yes, but there was a range because the highway superintendent asked for a very large increase. And the justices put in for a larger increase.
So question, just humor me, Dan. Now that we've identified those positions outlined. First off, Jason, does this address the concern you have for your person? Or no? Where people's job descriptions or job roles have changed since they were hired? What are those positions that we need to take into account?
Well, the I mean, the positions where that has to be taken into account would be
However you-
highway,
Or-
highway superintendent. I would say director of finance, which I think, I know, yeah, we did yours last year, but yeah, since hiring, we did yours last year.
I guess my experience, I would say highway superintendent. Highway superintendent with reservations.
Yeah.
But I would both do all the three admins.
Yeah.
The secretary to the highway, secretary supervisor, and the planning admin assistant.
We just
Yeah.
did those.
No, you did those, but you didn't do them large amounts, so should those job titles change, is the point that the question you asked. So that's the question that.
Secretary of the Highways job has changed? Yeah.
I would say, I don't know if it's changed, but it keeps growing because again, the highway keeps taking on additional projects, and so has to be involved with all of those.
But did it change the role
Well,
they were hired to do?
Or the hours, or no?
no, the hours, because it doesn't matter how many hours somebody, it's a matter of what their job is. Like, if they work more hours, they work more hours, that's.
Is they're hourly. If you're
Yeah.
exempt,
Yeah.
you may be working 60 hours a week and then.
So we're talking
others-
about the hourly, fine, okay.
So.
But did the qualifications change, or I guess,
But that's, you can look at it a lot of ways, but I'm gonna say that all of these those three admin positions are supporting very active departments.
That's understood, but
So-
did the job they were hired for, the skill sets needed?
I would say yes, they're now,
Yeah.
at least two of them now have to link to the website,
Yeah,
and, the admin down at the highway basically submits for all the chips, she handles all that paperwork,
Town
Um,
newsletter.
yeah. So,
they're involved in a lot of grant tracking. I mean, like highway, like Caitlin, and she, like the highway down there, because they're doing. I mean, for every.
so all I'm saying is those three positions could be reclassified to a different admin title that shows the additional responsibilities that they are taking on.
So I'm just gonna go through them, so that's. Not the deputy town clerk,
No,
it's not the planning admin assistant.
no, it is the planning admin. I'd say the three admins. The planning admin assistant and what's considered two secretaries.
Secretary to the supervisor
Mhm.
And
and,
And I just feel those are antiquated titles, so I call them admin.
yeah, secretaries.
yeah, and what I said about the $25 thing is there's a couple of people, like if you said, okay, we'll just right set to 25, they'd be getting nothing, like other than a couple of pennies. So those couple who are literally within 10, like 15 cents, it's three people. I would say just start at 20, just do the 25, just say 20, start at 25 for the CPI plus. If you can do that, but then there's someone like the one deputy town clerk who's at 23.
Mhm.
If you're gonna up that to 25, the percentage is still gonna be. Something like it's eyeball, and I think it'll come out to like 8%.
I know I'm getting tired, but I thought we did that part. Now we're
Yeah,
talking about
we've
whose
already
job,
talked about
whose
that.
job descriptions. And so regardless of that point, where is it that there may be a reason unrelated to normal raises that their job description is no longer appropriate for their pay scale?
So I almost think this might need to go back out of to the personnel committee to do the research. And it's actually something, Christina, I remember we talked about in the beginning of the year that we needed to kind of look into, but life happened, other responsibilities came in. So maybe is this a question that you would like the personnel committee to research, find out the right job title, what's the responsibility? So if we want to change a job title, because it's not just, hey, we can just willy-nilly change a job title. There's actually civil service rules that we also have to follow along the way, like do you have to take a new test and so on and so forth. So is that something we should just not have in this conversation right now and put that on as a task for next February or something along those lines? Would that be a solution?
Yes, and Christine.
I'm asking the board in
I,
general.
that's what I thought I said a little while ago. Yes, I agree that we have to match salaries to changing job descriptions. And without that, we're shooting blind right now. Because I'm just hearing, well, highway super is doing sewers, but he's always done a certain amount of that. At least he has for the last few years, so that's not new.
Right.
But he does stuff with the rail trail. Well, he's been doing that for a long time.
He's been complaining about it all.
I complain about the whole, it's, yeah,
Does
there's
other
that.
things, and
but-
he willingly runs for reelection. So, elected positions are a little different,
I know, I'm trying to look at trying to be consistent in how we look at the methodology. I'm trying, man.
Okay.
We're going in circles.
But I do feel like we're shooting blind. We don't know what these new components are. And we've been, the confidential secretary to the town supervisor. I mean, this person's been doing the newsletter for several years. It's not a new
No,
thing.
the newsletter's been like, I think
Great.
it's 2 years.
Okay, a couple of years.
You should take it
But
on
in
the
all respect,
website,
and-
including doing all the research to find the vendors and
in
But
all
we
due
need to know what the
respect-
new stuff is, that you're.
that's stuff that we added on without extra compensation. Let's put it like that.
Right, but
that's-
is it,
But what is that stuff?
and is it
That's what I'm
appropriate
trying
for
to
the
get at.
job? Because
Confidential secretary, when I started here, literally did answering phones, scheduling, when someone would walk in. They'd answer random questions, connect them with me, or even when Mary Ann was here, just connect them with her. They'd do some vouchers. There was no fiber, anything. They would, it was a catch-all thing, but essentially. It was almost like a. I mean, it was more of a traditional secretarial job.
And we paid half what we currently allocate. Then, it was in the 20s, I remember.
Right. and-
Right.
Because they were working less.
And they were working less and they had less responsibility.
complexity
Yeah.
of the work.
And no, it is it is pretty much now partly a PR job, which it never was. I mean, that is what managing a website is. It is an information, it is a, like, there are places that have someone to do just that.
Okay, but is it possible to get that articulated in a way that isn't so informal and just like pay this person more because she's doing, or we just, in order to be responsible here, we just can't
Yeah,
up it.
Okay, but can we do the pay people now so we're not waiting a year because we're waiting for a fucking piece of paper? I'm sorry, but this is kind of, it's sort of like, I feel like this is kind of an exercise in, I need a piece of paper to cover my ass when I know I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, well, we
That's
just
kind of what I
finished.
feel like it is.
Well,
We can
it
do
doesn't
that.
feel that way to me. I feel like we got a fiduciary responsibility to people that pay our bills. And if we can't explain what we're doing with their money, we're not doing our job.
I think we do explain it, and I also think that they know what we're doing, but we do explain it to them pretty well. And they see that by what we're actually
We
doing.
can't explain if we don't have the information. I can't,
Well, then maybe you should be here more. I don't know.
So the reality is,
I'm a town board member. I'm here more than most town board members in any town I know of.
so the reality is we need to have job descriptions be accurate, not just for pay, but there's a lot of other reasons, like, workman's comp and all sorts of other things that happen. So that's an important thing to do. The other question I would have is if we change their salary now and we update job description in February, does that mean everyone's gonna expect another huge raise?
No.
No.
Because we catch up with,
And changing a job description is not something you write down and expect and have civil service approve in a month. It doesn't happen that way. It has never happened that way.
fun to
Right.
take them last
But
year.
we've always talked about having the civil service job description and then having the in-house job description. They're two different things,
The
you know.
house one would be,
Civil service has to fit civil service, you know, wording and formatting, but what you actually do is often very different.
so, but here, so we've talked about what we're gonna do for the positions that are below $25, which is because it does not meet the county commitment to living wage. We've identified 4, possibly 5, possibly 6 positions that the salaries are potentially no longer appropriate for the work that they do. Right, so we've got 4 administrative assistants, whether they're called admins or they're called secretaries. And then we've got potentially highway superintendent and Dryden Fiber need to be looked at. For the rest of them, are we just talking about CPI and whatever it is,
What's that?
was the old
Cleaner.
system? Because looks to me like we would be down to only having to make a few decisions after that. So if we take clerk, planning, director of finance, director of rec, zoning positions, code enforcement, planner, deputy town, not deputy town clerk, senior town clerk, senior account payroll clerk, deputy superintendents and account clerk for Dryden Fiber, those all would be what, 3.5 plus the annual review?
That's kind of what I wondered if that's how you wanted to address it this year.
And then we need to really look at those ones that we feel are catalog. And make sure that the salaries are appropriate to the job descriptions, because those are job descriptions that need to get updated. So those are the admin assistant roles. We need to talk about supervisor, we need to talk about Dryden Fiber. I don't understand then why the director of rec position was such a huge percentage increase proposal.
Cause that was just taken from the chart based on the starting plus the amount of years she's been here. And that's the one I say, though, it could probably be adjusted anyway because of
The Parks and Rec thing.
the Parks and Rec thing, which we don't have that yet. And the amount that one, if we're gonna, because, you know, what happens is like we're adding, well, I guess it's more gonna come with what goes on with the community center bit.
They're still gonna get a hefty salary increase with CPI and the other method. I mean,
The number that I had found just looking around while we were doing this, came out that it'd be
Indeed had them at 6,100, actually lower than what we
Yeah.
make.
well, ZipRecruiter had basically had a nationwide average of 71, but New York at 78 for rec director. But I think it's so what I was thinking probably to make which
But once you
We're
do this,
offering her a 5.5% increase.
that's
I
gonna do
mean,
it right there.
Can we just recognize that is a big increase and this, you know, we don't have to go find another number. We know what she does. She likes the job. She likes working for us. We like having her. We're going to reward her with a 5.5% increase. You don't have to belabor this.
Yeah, I would say we need to look at those 4. Those, those other ones that you guys have said clearly are very
yeah, like that would bring it up to the 71 and whatever.
right there. So
That's not good.
So it sounds like we're only down to a few conversations here.
Which Which ones are you talking about?
The ones where they want it's identified, job descriptions need to be updated for the administrative assistants. Dryden Fiber Executive Director, and there's a question on Town Highway Superintendent. Those were the ones that were, you guys were talking, I highlighted in orange as their jobs have changed.
Where's, again, I don't see Dryden Fiber listed on anything, so
It was at the bottom of
It was at the bottom of the other one.
the sheet.
this sheet,
Yeah, might be on the other page.
Or the-
Do you know how many hours a week the Ulysses guy works?
And we have to have the
Yeah,
data.
it's probably,
I don't,
know for sure. I think it's,
It
I
sounds
know
like-
it's part-time and they also don't have, like, the thing about the Ulysses one is it won't change.
but just to be clear, we don't set the
25,
Dryden Fiber
I
salary
mean,
in the budget
26, but it will
we don't
probably by
need to figure that
27
out
be full-time
to-
because they
to-
just
to
literally
do
have to
this
be
job.
zoning.
okay, so then there's another one. we
So
can
let's
also
just
figure
take
out.
that
A
off.
huge
Let's
space of
pull out
land to
the
build all of
Administrative assistant.
so, but they're
Three. You can count four.
He kept saying there was 4.
No.
That's okay,
Three
then,
administrative people.
good, because I only have
And
3
what are they,
highlighted.
your deputy, the planner,
Then.
Yeah.
Separate, secretary to the supervisor, secretary to the highway.
Those are the 3.
Those are the 3 administrative positions.
Now, one of them is already gonna get a jump because they're gonna go from 2287 to 25, and then plus the salary increase. The other 2 are only a couple pennies from 25, and we said we'd move them to 25 out of fairness. Are you saying we should up them a whole $1 and then do it? Like, because of the job description changes?
Yeah, I think that would be fair. Yeah. 'Cause I know that. I would say both highway and the other 2 secretaries do far more things even than the planning admin. The planning admin's so low because of just shitty starting from, and she, been here for so long, that's why it's never gone up much. That's really where that's from. I mean, if things would have been corrected previously, then we wouldn't even be having that discussion about her.
So those are the 3.
But yeah, so I would do if you do the.
So the planning admin assistant
Alright.
already dealt with, because that already went up to 25. And that just leaves, and so if instead of doing the few cents for the other ones. That doesn't put them over anybody else. Okay.
But what does that actually
Yeah,
bring?
Could you repeat that, so I have good notes, sorry, cause it's been.
So what does this bring the one for the secretaries to? So we're talking about the highway and supervisor ones. To bring them $1, start at like 25.85, 25.92, and then do the CPI plus. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Increase $1 and then CPI plus.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
the deputy town clerk and the planning admin assistant both will go up to 25
Mhm.
And
plus
also.
plus
for the-
CPI.
And then the same rule with the court clerk and the other deputy clerk?
Court clerk goes to, everybody goes. Court clerk goes up to 25. And the deputy town clerk goes up to 25. Cause they didn't,
Well, there's the one,
so let's be
it would be
careful.
the deputy town clerk senior should be the same situation. I mean,
Yeah, deputy town clerk senior, I would caution you against putting it as the same amount as the other deputy town clerk that has less experience.
yeah,
Less years of service.
deputy town clerk.
so that person is
Same.
getting 25 flat, right?
What, no,
Deputy town clerk,
just the
junior,
junior, thank you.
that's 25 flat.
Flat plus the 3.5 plus performance. And then the deputy town clerk, we're gonna call him senior.
I thought we,
But that
alright,
was-
about 40 minutes ago, we said the deputy town clerk would go to 25, period. And then we said the others that were close to 25 would go to 25 plus CPI and performance. That's how we would
I
make the
just had, Spring repeat what she said, and we have two that are going to 26 plus 3.5 for performance.
well.
And the other.
Wait, we're
We
mixing metaphors.
strayed
Yeah.
from what we
No,
just,
we originally were saying everybody, what I think I remember, so bear with me, was that everybody below 25 was gonna go to 25 plus CPI, right?
no.
No,
No.
everyone who's
The
far
ones that were
below.
further below would go to 25. The ones that were just 15 cents or less from 25 would go to 25 plus CPI.
Okay, got
Plus
it,
the,
okay.
Okay,
or plus the
Got
CPI and the review thing, because the other people are so far down that it's gonna, like, say, for instance, deputy town clerk is further down, it's gonna turn out to be something like 6% anyway.
So if you're within 20, let's say 20 cents of 25, you go
I
up
got
to
it.
25 plus CPI
Yep.
plus performance.
But then, so that we had that conversation, then we had the conversation on people whose
This job,
job descriptions need to be changed. There's overlap. Two of those positions, Secretary of the Highway and Secretary Supervisor.
Right.
We just then said, well, instead of putting them at 25, increase them by $1. Because their job descriptions are gonna be updated based on
but then,
increased work complexity.
and then doing the $1 plus the CPI and review.
that's what
Yeah, that's what you said for them.
okay.
And then what that does with deputy town clerk senior is,
That's the
and that one would be the 25, whatever,
With
the
CPI, the other person is. only up to
CPI and
25.
review. It'll be a CPI and the review because it's so close to 25.
Okay,
Okay, can we,
I'm, sorry, can we just repeat that one more time?
Here.
Deputy town clerk senior.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
written down right here. They go to 25 plus CPI. These guys just go to 25. Sure. So, I'm taking my notes on my little phone spreadsheet.
Yeah, you're fine, I gotta have notes for tomorrow, so I'm not gonna.
Which bathroom does he start cleaning first?
Oh,
We're gonna switch talk over you.
I don't know where they'll knock.
so what, 6%.
Okay, so then for all remaining, except there's still discussion about the highway superintendent. You wanna just do all remaining to CPI plus performance.
Yeah.
And then the question's gonna be, how do you wanna handle the highway superintendent? You requested 115,000, which is an increase in.
Like 17%.
So you guys in your alternate salary research proposal had said of 108,202
Yeah,
Yeah,
with a 9%, so that'd be this basically 6% plus 3. So, I guess my question there would be is because again, we're worried about, we have to be fiscally responsible, is that alternate proposed salary, was that done with more information based on current job duties? So is that one where the research you guys did should be utilized here?
That's my question there.
So we did not research what other highway superintendents in the other two towns did. It's kind of because every single one of these towns is gonna have something different.
Yeah.
Some will have one, just, like some have,
Everybody's a snowflake.
yeah, so it's kind of but if we were trying to be,
The name looks different. Snowflake has different meanings. Some of those Janice. words.
Everybody is special in their own way.
so, but within reason, if they worked in, if they were elected in that town, this is where they not necessarily started at, because the full-time elected do not have to, like if somebody new got elected, let's just pretend, you don't have to pay them at the starting, what the budgeted rate, you can pay them a little lower.
I get it.
So, but my point is his years of service, his knowledge, yes, we put him at that, and we started, and that was following the system that we had. So, but we did not look at duties, because if I called any highway superintendent, I'm gonna get an earful of all the things they do, and how many hours they work, and I'm up at 3 a.m. and I have a phone,
Yep.
that we're gonna get the whole 9 yards, so I don't need to. I don't need to do that.
But they run for office knowing what the job is. And,
Right,
you
but
know,
if they
and
run for office in Lansing, they get paid one thing, they run for office in Dryden, they get paid something completely
I know,
different.
but they're different jobs, they're different tax bases and all that. So, let's see, start down. So I'm just wondering, because we've had the conversation around the job description is different. This is one that we should use your alternate salary proposal methodology for. That's my question to the group. I'm not trying to.
I think it's common in budget negotiations to come in high. And I don't blame, him for coming in where he did, but it doesn't mean that's where we land.
This is half what, I mean, their proposal was just shy of half what he proposed, but more than CPI. So,
Quite a bit. I mean, we're talking about a 9% increase at 108.
yep,
Well,
I'm
I'd say,
comfortable with it. But I'm more familiar
but I would say then
with
you
what we're
should,
paying.
you should
people others.
also do the same if you're gonna do that for town clerk then.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, well, if you're, the percentage increase should be the same.
But the job, I mean, he's making the case that he's doing more, and we're accepting that case that he's doing more.
I believe
The
it.
job and with Dryden Fiber, there's probably some truth to that. The other job hasn't seen that.
I
Oh,
would disagree with that.
Okay, then
Yeah.
put it out. Tell us
Because-
why.
Because every single project that gets approved for the town, whether it's grant, capital project, anything runs through this town clerk's office, because there's agreements, there's legal notices, there is all these other factors that get added on to that responsibility, along with the reporting that town clerk is responsible for. So I would say, and also in fairness to an elected full-time position, we're making that clear, it's an elected full-time position. If you're gonna increase one by that much, then the other should be the same, otherwise it looks funky. It looks on the edge of, oh shoot, I'm not gonna have the word. It looks on the edge of, gender discrimination.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yeah.
It's on the edge,
does.
and so that's why I'm trying to make the point that.
Absolutely not.
For two
you-
full-time?
That's such a leap.
I don't think it's a leap at all.
It's different. One person, one of those positions is overseeing, 50 people. Or more.
The second most roads of any town in the state. So yeah, it's a
So-
big job. And
Cause I back you up on the gender thing if I really thought that was appropriate, but
I kind of feel it goes with all these positions.
Yeah,
Well, at least, just because those two are the elected positions and.
yeah, they're the only two full-time elected positions in town.
And so, and the increase is if you did let's just say if you use the highway superintendent 9%, we do 9% for the other elected full-time. So that way I'm not saying they should be paid the exact same, I'm just saying the increase should be the same.
Yeah.
Right now,
Okay.
one's 9 and the other one was posted 17, so
Well,
that's,
that was the proposed, if we did the adjustment,
right.
that's not. So that's all
That's all we're saying.
I'm
Well,
just
okay,
saying
these
the
are big
percentage
jumps.
increase should
I
be
mean, if we're gonna do that, then we have to, I don't know, come down to 8%
for both
Eight.
positions or one,
for both.
I mean, 8 would be fine.
and we do the 8. Okay, here's a tough one, part-time elected positions.
But you just said,
8%? No, I was talking about full-time positions.
Yeah.
Double
different,
times,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So we're talking about the judges and us.
Yes, the judges and supervisor and town board members.
Yeah, and
well, then I could,
and the judges, I mean, if you just, they do get paid by the state when they do the after hour arraignment stuff. It's like $100 or something.
So that's it.
Yeah, it's separate, that's on
Yeah,
top of the
is
town
it-
thing, like previously
because
they
it's
did, they
CPI, but you
didn't.
don't get reviews, is that what the difference is?
There's
There is the
no-
fact that there's no reviews for elected officials, but
So
there's.
you don't have the CPI plus, you just get CPI, there's no
we don't
plus,
really
is that
have
the thing?
reviews.
The voters are reviewed.
Right,
inflation
but when you're
reviews.
doing the freaking math calculations, some are CPI, some are CPI plus the review bonus. These positions, even if we said CPI, it's not the CPI plus the review.
Right,
Okay, I'm just making sure
yeah. They were,
I'm speaking the language.
And in all your hunting around, you didn't look at any of those jobs.
they
to
weren't
compare.
listed, they weren't listed.
Oh,
Really?
The full-time were, but the part-time were not listed.
The only thing I've always said is like, if we should, at least for the board, and I'm not talking about supervisor, I'm just talking board. Like, our board has always done more than any like Lansing board member or Ulysses board member or all these things. I know, it's like, I'm serious, like just with the issues we've dealt with and having, like, I know who these other people are. And everyone. May not know.
I know Dryden Fiber wasn't there when I started.
I know.
Taking up a lot.
I know, and I'm just.
We're all using Dryden.
No, I know, but we're
I
like,
know they spent 2 hours on Dryden Fiber today, so. I can
That's
actually
probably
say.
spent 4, so it's probably a factor of our jobs right now.
yeah,
I get
I'm
you.
just saying, like, as far as board goes, I've always said, like, the measure to me has been. Lansing, just because of. Close, they're the closest in size, not, Ithaca's just,
So in all honesty,
but I know most time people just are like, I don't care about that, but.
I would say it would be CPI for Leonardo.
You're
For
not
the
gonna have,
council people, or whatever,
Yeah.
1%, 0%, I would think for. You guys, it would need to match.
We need to match what?
The other elected
The other elected
positions.
positions. So
well,
the
there is an
difference-
extra amount on deputy, which I keep trying to put up higher and Dan keeps saying no for some reason.
I would, I
But-
mean, you,
Well,
But-
we don't like the self deal, unlike our president, who's given himself $230 million.
don't, just don't.
No, that's not, we gotta keep going, guys.
I mean,
No, just because
we're
the
gonna have to-
deputy has been doing like, because, okay, so what happened? The thing about deputy is this, when David was deputy, I can't remember the dollar amount, but it was a significant amount, and then when I was deputy, that got cut completely.
So I don't have the salaries here, so.
Let's talk about the history of this thing, and I've been wanting to get it back to the way it was when David, when he was on town board a long time ago. I wanted to get it treated that way again, and Dan's just said no to that and just keep doing it slower, but. Because deputy. Has always done a
So,
whole lot.
help me out, because I don't have the numbers. What are the,
We haven't-
You guys can speak quiet.
Anyway, that's my point of like, when it shows up, it's higher than the
Deputy and
ten whatever
God of
percentage, that's
driving.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cause I've wanted to get it back up to where the way it was treated before.
So I'm gonna just say
David's,
God and demigod.
It's not, I don't know who the hell that would be.
yeah.
So.
Why do you have to gender it?
I would
Jesus.
prefer say, I would prefer, you can say demigod and call me Satan, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
And
No,
that'll be recorded too.
don't go in there.
so.
So.
Lord of the Darkness.
Well, I'm wearing black.
So what's the annual salary for senior demi?
I had deputy supervisor.
Yeah,
2025, it was 4,089.
and the other one?
For supervisor,
Mhm.
this year it is 34,907.
And I'll just say this, if we're ever gonna raise it, it's better to raise it in an election year. We're not supposed to, it's not a good tradition to raise it when you're not, when you're setting your own salary.
So I would say that those should consistently be the 9%. And
So the supervisor and the deputy, you're proposing to be a 9% increase.
to match town clerk and highway.
So we said
They're
8% for
8%.
those.
Who's the deputy supervisor in Lansing?
Just 2 million.
John Howell?
I can't. I mean,
I
I,
don't know, because
Yeah.
Lansing is weird with the deputy supervisor thing because they have not always had it as a board member.
Okay.
The
Like
other
a-
thing is I'm sorry.
Because deputy supervisor doesn't actually have to be a town board member, it can be anybody.
Well,
nice.
the other thing is, if we're gonna talk about job descriptions not being accurate,
There is no job description.
There is no
for it,
job
just for
description.
sorry, I don't think that salary is right. For the amount of time spent.
yeah, I think I'd bring a whole set of contacts to this work. And I
Yes,
get
you
to
do.
use them, and I contacted both our senators today, US senators, our state
Yeah, I haven't even done
representatives,
that,
and
so.
and used, I bring some value, I like to think, to this job.
I wish up that to 10. Sorry, shoot me dead, but
Okay, so I guess I need the board to tell me what they want to use so I can have it.
Bring what up to 10?
I don't know.
You don't know, you just said it.
I think you should get it at 8%. Supervisor should match the other two positions. I think deputy should be at 10. In all honesty, with the amount of hours put in, I think it's ridiculous. That's just my personal opinion. It's not even $5,000.
I mean, on top of
And you guys are welcome to disagree.
well, I know like,
People always disagree with me. Someone's gotta throw a number against the wall in order to get anyone to talk, so. And it's just,
Okay, I'm gonna say it because I'm gonna hear
that's
it.
gonna, yeah,
No,
she's
you
gonna
don't
hear
have
it,
to
that would
say it.
be.
I am gonna hear it at my door for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And I don't discount anything Dan does, because I don't want you to think that. But at the same time, I'm gonna get staff there and go, well, gosh, I got, whatever, and then 6%,
I mean, I would,
but the part-time got a 10%. And so that's the challenge, and I'm just
it's
saying,
less than $5,000 a year salary.
yes,
It's just a different game. It's reality is it's a different game.
it is a different game.
And I would say you could give them my phone number and I'd be happy to talk to them.
Okay, I just
And
want you to
I'm
know what happens, what gets said here, because you can't be here because you're working. I
Nope,
understand that, so.
absolutely, and I absolutely get it, and I would say on this one, I'd say give them my number, I'd be happy to talk to them. Because you're not comparing apples to apples, you're not talking about an annual salary, you're talking about a stipend.
So do you want to, is the board okay with 10%, does the board want to do 10%?
That seems a little high. We,
we've on
Shush.
10,
You don't get to engage in this conversation.
we're talking about 10%.
Tell me to say that to you.
So like another, what is it, another $500?
No, he only makes 4,890, I'm saying.
Well, that's,
hey,
then there's also, that's on top of the board part. The town board part,
Fine,
so it'll be like, you talk about 10,000?
No, 10%.
no, I was saying 10,000.
Oh, you said 10,000? I'm sorry, we've been talking percents all this time, I finally,
I'm throwing out numbers to get people to disagree with me, other than Dan, because he's not allowed to talk about himself.
Well,
You want me to just leave the room and I
Yeah.
don't even
Figure
know what
something out.
happened?
It's too entertaining for you.
no, I'll see if I can actually get on. See,
There's no freaking way I'm going to a meeting
Tonight?
online tonight.
You're not supposed to talk about that here.
Okay.
I think we missed it.
I'm also not gonna walk my dog tonight when I get home
I'll
either.
let Joe know.
It snagged me. Yeah, yeah. You are, dude. No, I don't. Actually. Whoops.
no.
what it was back in 2011. Huh?
I wondered what your calculations you were doing over there.
Well, what the deputy supervisor was 48 per, the extra was 48% of what a board member made. Okay, that's what it was back then.
You mean plus. So
Yeah, so whatever the
Board plus
board,
48.
whatever, so, yeah, if the board, just throw it out there, if the board was 10, a board member got 10,000, deputy would get 4,800 above that. That's what the percentage was back then, so it's like an extra,
50%
yeah,
on top.
I mean, that would be something consistent with what was done back when, and then, cause what happened when.
Is the job the same?
There is no job.
Yeah, because back, I mean, I'll say back
I know there's no
then,
job description. I'm just saying, is the job?
there's
the
no job
same?
description, yeah,
Or
and the
is
job
the
is this, yeah.
amount of stuff that happens with grant funding and all of these things and representation with the county and all of that the same?
Those things are
job.
saying what's different between, yes, all that stuff really is the same as what I remember going on back then. The difference is Dan has like individually has way more contacts and things that have benefited the town. Okay. So that's a experience thing you don't get through. But as far as like picking up, like doing meetings and whatever else, yeah, I remember back then that's the kind of stuff David was doing with Marianne. And
And you guys didn't do any increases last year, correct?
I don't actually remember.
We just did CPI.
Let me just look at these whole budgets to see what the hell. Yeah, and what happened was in 2014, the board then said, well, deputy, which didn't change, knocked down to 1,000 above. And I've been trying to get it back where it should be. ever since. And he keeps saying no.
See, I just don't advocate, I'm silent on the issue.
But it's dollar wise now, the amount would, cause I think, what does it come out to be for
What do you mean getting it to where it needs to be?
the 48% of basically, I mean, basically is when whatever, if that's why I said, if you use the number, say 10,000 is what board members get as the board part, then deputy would be 50%, like, 50%.
That's what it is right now.
It's kind of what we were talking about with employees.
Yeah, when you're, yeah, it's because of what the job is,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, it almost could probably justifiably be half of what the supervisor,
Yeah.
well, I mean, the total between board and whatever's deputy could probably, I mean.
But if we talk.
But the
about-
thing is, what's gonna happen though is exactly what Amanda's talking about, and that's not a great
But
option.
if we talk about hourly effort,
Well,
these guys are probably.
yeah, but there's
making
also
$1
that, it goes into
an
that.
hour an hour, so
Right.
that's very different.
Yeah, but
than-
there's very different reasons for doing this nonsense. We do it than someone who is, yeah, people sometimes want to work government or whatever, but it's also it's a career for them, but it's not, they're getting into it for
It's also very
different
volunteer,
reasons. than
it's
us.
mostly
Community
volunteer,
service.
it's community service,
Yeah, so I would say,
Yeah. I don't.
but it's not completely the same because from an hourly perspective, probably $1 an hour. Like, so, it's not the same as $30 an hour. Comparison.
no, it's not. There's no, you can't even like. So,
I mean,
yeah, I
I
mean, the
don't-
rate it's, I mean, really, I would, yeah, the amount I put in was to bring it to roughly that percentage I was talking about, which
I mean, I don't.
you wouldn't reach it if you just did
$1
CPI.
an hour, that's all I'm saying, and I don't think that's fair either.
Well,
Let's just do the elected, it's all the same then. We talked about 8%.
Do it at 8%.
across
I
the
mean,
board.
I would. I don't. I think for the part times, it's different than the full times.
Okay.
I really do.
Alright.
But the amount on the deputy thing, what I put in would correct it to where it was, what was being done in 2011. And so that I would like to leave that one only for that reason, because it does match with that bit. And then going forward, you would just do it as the same percentage as all the
So
other
you're
ones.
saying deputy supervisor at CPI and.
Well, no, deputy,
I'm sorry.
the amount, if you
supervisor
did
CPI and deputy supervisor would go back to the
that
2011.
percentage, yeah, that percentage, which you wouldn't reach it if you just did CPI on 40, I can't read that.
4,890.
But how's that different than what we're talking about not doing with the employees?
Because the employees are making $30 an hour, not $1 an hour.
No, it's like what happened is different because it got actually literally got stripped back. Like I'm telling you what happened when I just read it off in 2014, it went from the deputy gets an extra, whatever the 30, at that time, 3,100. It got knocked back to $1,000. Because, I mean,
Were there some things going on?
There were
Oh, yeah.
issues.
I had issues with our supervisor when I put it like that.
You were challenged.
All right, so we're putting in
So,
the supervisors getting CPI
yeah, I mean, from,
and deputy supervisor, it would revert back to.
just that,
calculation.
the number that I put, yeah, I mean, the number that I put matches what I'm talking
you
about,
put.
even whatever the percentage it turned out to be, the change to add it to, it actually is now back up to where it would be.
But we need the standard methodology, which is.
I don't think we need to PhD this thing. I think we just need to leave the deputy supervisor number where I put it, because that's where it will match that percentage I was talking about from 14 years ago.
Right, but next year we wanna match the percentage again, so it'll be
So it'll
50% of. A council person's salary. councilperson salary plus 50% is what you
Or
said.
it's set
was
at-
the 2011.
It's half of what a council person, it looks like it's half of what a council person would make.
Yeah.
On top of the council person's salary.
So that way next
And
year.
actually, if you wanted, yeah, I mean, actually, if you wanted to really correct it to that, you would actually knock it back to 50.85 for the deputy, cause I went over by like $100 or $50 or something like that. When I did the, whatever the percentage is, I think yeah, so,
Does that make sense to you, Amanda?
So we're gonna leave it at what he originally budgeted, which is 5,135.
yeah, but if you did the hat, cause for the board members, so you divide the 46, whatever it is.
And then the town board,
1%.
1%.
I know,
Oh.
I think we have a responsibility to keep that at CPI. Otherwise, it just gets deflated for future boards. And
Yeah.
at some point, there has to be a correction, and that's just.
And
a
then we're
pain.
back to where we're at.
So is that what that number reflects right now?
yes.
I think it's just CPI.
Yeah.
3.5%, I think is what.
It's pretty close. CPI is 40,104. They're divided 4 ways, but. 3.5%, so 3.5% above 38,748 is 40,104. So I can adjust that one, it's in my area.
Where did 680? How did we come up with that number?
If Jason put that in and use 4, I'm not really sure.
Maybe I did put it at 4 though. I can't, my sheet I had, I can't. find it.
Yeah, so that's a bit, or all of them are in there, it's just calculations, that's just this.
If we're going with CPI for the part-times, then it's CPI.
Mhm.
Okay, so all part-time elected are 3.5%, except the deputy is already at the 3.5%, so I don't need to change that.
Correct.
Okay. That's just saying.
And then the full-times are going up 8%. Yes. And that's where your biggest complaint is going to be.
Yeah, but there's always complaining, and I know that, and it's fine, so we just roll with it, and I usually direct questions when needed, but I'll just let them rubbish them off and
Tell them that the more they complain. Capture them in next year.
I'm not saying anything next year, because that's not a good plan, that's setting people up for other things.
Points off on the. You kidding?
Mhm.
All right, we're done, aren't we?
So what I'll do is I'll go and prepare a preliminary budget. Review it again, double check, because obviously all of these salaries need to be corrected. With it and check performance reviews. So we'll have the preliminary budget and all the notifications demanding in time. For notification to go out by Tuesday of next week.
Should have plan that by no later than March, we start working through. Job description reviews or anything like
I would,
that, so that we're way in advance of
I mean, you can start it now.
budget time.
I would start it
Yeah.
now.
You can start it now. You can start the process now. Because it does take time for civil service. We have to also look at the factors of, is there any tests? You know, et cetera. So. Yeah,
So that we can implement that
and
thingy for next year.
Christina. Is experienced with job descriptions. Can do quite a bit of it. I mean, budget year end and so on, like, you're different, it just. Rolls along. But I put in everything. Okay. All right, so I'll make these changes and then I'll review everything with Jason before it goes to publication, so nothing will be,
Yeah.
I won't make them.
Can you send us
Yeah. Once I
that as
have
well
it.
before it comes to
Are you gonna be
publication?
on Friday? Cause I could probably be here around 9.
Yeah, if you wanna stop by, just so we can go through, I can show, show any major differences. Yes, I will be in on Friday.
Yeah, cause I got eye doctor at 8 and then I can come after.
Okay, got it.
Hopefully they won't have like dilated my eyes or else my one eye, cause otherwise I'll look really weird.
Yeah, you won't be able to see anything either. You probably shouldn't drive.
Almost self-driving.
Cars drive themselves.
So when the Dryden Center for Community came the other night at the presentation,
Yeah.
one of the last things they said was, we appreciate your support. They just mean like virtual support, right? Not like financial.
They're always gonna come asking for money and really what's gonna help them is if rec department uses some of the space and we'll pay a little bit.
Yeah, they, some amazing fundraising.
Well, yeah.
I'm sure at some point they're gonna need 15,000 a year.
Alright, so
I still think it was Jason.
She works for the, with the
No.
library, so she knows how they do it.
Alright, so meeting, we're adjourning the meetings. I stop the recording.